Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you're watching first part of what if Naruto became Iron Man during chunin exam finals. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no time, let's start the story.
But why can't you teach me? Asked Naruto Uzumaki as he stood in front of his sensei Hitaki Kakashi in the Konoha hospital. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief as he, "Look Naruto, I only put you in the chunin exam for the same reason I put Sakura in it, for experience. I never imagined you would make it past the second round, and the only reason you did was because you couldn't control your bodily functions and farted in Kiba's face. Deep down you know that was the only reason you won that match. You are not ready for the exams. I have asked another Junin to take this month and train you in chakra control, since that is your greatest weakness. Perhaps after the exams are over you will have enough control so I could teach you something, but I am not going to teach you anything because truthfully, no matter what I teach you, you could not defeat Neji, and I will not waste my time training you, since at this time you are not worth it. I will be taking Sasuke to train him since he is ready for the chunin exams." As Kakashi shuffled away, Naruto stood in the hallway, his eyes narrowed, and he said, "It's always about Sasuke. If you even spent half the time training me or Sakura as you do Sasuke, then I might have believed your bullshit story just said, but I know you never cared about either of us. All you have ever cared about is Sasuke." And Naruto turned and started to walk down the hall, ignoring the terrified looks he was receiving. "Well, screw you Kakashi, I will train myself and I will fight Neji and I will beat him, and then I will beat everyone until I get to Sasuke, and I will leave him lying in the dirt even if I have to make a deal with Kyuubi to do it," he said. A hand seized Naruto from an open room as he turned the corner and got closer to the stairs, yanking him inside before slamming the door. A man with brown hair and eyes was staring at Naruto as he got up off the ground and asked, "Are you really willing to do anything to defeat the Uchiha? You would be willing to use the Kyuubi?" Naruto glanced around the room and asked, "Who are you?" The man spoke with an authoritative tone. "Answer the question, Naruto. Does proving you're not worthless mean that much to you that you could have everyone who doesn't hate you now hate you for using it? Do you really feel that you have no options?" Naruto looked at him and replied, "Yeah, I have nothing to lose. Nobody cares about me and nobody would give a damn if I died tomorrow, so why not? If using the damn Kyuubi that everyone hates me for is the only way anyone will ever see me as something but the dead last idiot who doesn't even deserve to live, then so be it." The man pondered Naruto for a while and asked, "What if there was another way, a way that could cost you your life, but if you lived it would give you everything you need to succeed in life and never be the failure that everyone thinks you are? Would you be willing to take the risk?" After a few seconds of contemplation and a slow nod, the man handed Naruto a business card and said, "Good, come to this address tonight at 8 and try not to be noticed." Naruto asked, "Who are you?" After glancing at it and reading the address and thinking, "This is near the outside of the village where hardly anyone lives." As he turned to leave the room, the man said, "Someone who wishes to repay an old debt. Good day." After giving the address a quick glance and scowling, Naruto also departed. When Naruto arrived at the address at 8 p.m., he saw a two-story house that appeared dilapidated and had multiple broken windows. Naruto turned around and saw the man from earlier, and he asked, "So what is it you want?" A voice said, "Ah Naruto, glad you could make it." Raising the cellar door, the man went to the side of the house and said, "Come on boy, I don't have all day." The man, with his back to Naruto, was working at a table when he said, "I am sure you were wondering what I meant earlier and who I am. Well, I won't tell you my name because I wish to protect my family, but I can tell you what I meant. You see, I know who your father was." Naruto took one last look around before following him inside and down the stairs for almost 50 feet before arriving at a large stone room. "Who?" asked Naruto. The man chuckled and said, "We will get to that in a moment. The debt I owe is to him. Before you were born I was a metallurgist and my wife was a cybernetic researcher. We both worked under the King of Snow Country researching for ways to save that country. His brother Dodo pulled both of us away from what we were working on to try and help protect the country by creating new type of armor for the ninja there. Since he was the brother to the king and the king had allowed his brother to help with the research in other areas, we believed he had the right to ask us to do it, so we began to work on creating just that. A new type of armor that would help protect the people of the land of snow. We discovered though that Dodo was planning to take his army and kill his brother taking over the country, so we took as much of our data as we could and fled from the country. We had almost escaped him completely, but his men caught us a month after we had left our homeland and captured us and took our data as they were preparing to take us out of Fire Country. Your father happened to be passing by and my wife took a chance and screamed for help. He came and attacked the men who had us prisoner and freed us, but one man took a small portion of our research and made it back to Snow Country." "What happened after he saved you, and who was he? Since you talk about him in the past tense, does that mean he is dead?" Naruto asked, yawning as he began to feel drowsy. The individual replied, Yes, he died the same night you were born. I don't know who your mother was. As for what happened after that, he brought us here to Konoha and helped create a new identity for my wife and I, and he sent a team to Snow Country to warn the king of his brother's plan. Unfortunately, Dodo took the small info that the ninja had recovered and created a weaker version of what my wife and I created that he called Snow Armor, and while the team was there to warn the king, Dodo men attacked, killing the king. As far as I know, the team leader on that mission, Kakashi, and the king's daughter were the only survivors of the attack on the castle. The princess disappeared and is believed to be dead now. My wife and I soon discovered we were going to be having a child of our own, and we were happy, but my wife passed away during childbirth and I have raised our child the best I can. So what is it you are telling me exactly? My head hurts, asked Naruto, feeling lightheaded. The man continued with his back to Naruto. What I am telling you, Naruto, is that what my wife and I invented is what I plan to give you, the original prototype armor. I had originally planned on letting what we created be lost forever because I felt the world would suffer because of it, and I did not want the blood of innocence on my hands more than it already is for what Dodo created from my work. But then I saw what happened to you, and since I knew who you were and saw how you endured, even through all the hell you suffered, that you would not use the prototype for evil. That you would use it to protect that which is precious to you. So I began to research and plan and wait, and now I am ready to give it to you. This gift will affect you the rest of your life and cannot be taken away. I ask you now, will you accept it and use it to show the world you are a hero, even if it cost you your life? Leaning against the wall, Naruto said, yeah. The individual replied, I am glad. Sleep well, Naruto Namikaze, son of Minato Namikaze. Namikaze, that's the name of the Yandai, was Naruto's final thought before he fainted. The man, who was wearing a gas mask, turned around after witnessing Naruto faint. The man said, forgive me, as he picked up Naruto and placed him on the table in the center of the room. He then took a scalpel from the table he was at and cut off Naruto's clothing before grabbing a fresh one and placing it at his chest, where it started to slowly cut in. Naruto opened his eyes and moaned as he woke up, asking himself, why is it so dark? A woman's voice said, because you need a few moments for your brain to reboot. Please remain still until system check is complete. Naruto's eyes widened and he exclaimed, who's there? Then he noticed a light above him and small, unfamiliar sounding lines appeared in his vision. What is this? He asked. As an armor diagram appeared in the center of the screen and slowly rotated before moving to the corner, the female voice said, this is the prototype body armor. You, Naruto Uzumaki, are now the operator of this armor. I am Eva, the electronic virtual avatar. If you have any questions, please just think your questions and I shall hear them, because I am a part of you and so people do not think you are crazy. Naruto thought, blinking, like this. Eva replied, yes, now try and raise your arms slowly. Yeah, though I do feel like they are heavier, Naruto said, moving his right arm first, then his left. Eva replied, your body will adapt quickly to the weight. Now try your legs. Good, now stand up and look at yourself in the mirror to your left, Eva said after Naruto completed the task. After slowly sitting up, Naruto asked, what's going on? I thought I was wearing some super armor, but I don't look any different aside from the fact that I am wearing new clothes that are all black but don't have any weapon holsters. He then blinked and looked at himself. Eva replied, that is because I have a built-in stealth feature. Think of it as a really advanced henge to see what you are really wearing, say, or think stealth shield drop. When his body was abruptly replaced by red armor with a gold face mask and gold in various other places, Naruto blinked and uttered the words, stealth shield drop. Startled, Naruto took a step back and exclaimed, whoa. When he saw that it was his reflection, he asked, is that me? Yes, Eva replied. Naruto inquired, how do I get it off? Eva replied, the armor is now a part of you. There are seals all along your body that will conceal the armor so you may shower or other things of that nature. However, if I detect danger to you, I will instantly unseal the armor and restore it to you. To seal it, think seal armor and the armor will seal, and to return the armor, think restore armor. To restore the stealth shield, think restore stealth. I advise not telling about me to anyone because they will try to learn the secret of it and take me away from you, which will result in your death. With a frown, Naruto questioned, so what can you do? Eva replied, I have many functions that I will be happy to teach you about over the next 3 weeks. However, I suggest you try sealing the armor and examine yourself so that you know about the other changes you have underwent. After thinking, seal armor, the armor vanished, and he noticed a bulge in his chest. He rubbed it and thought, what the hell? Black lines ran from his neck to his hands, arms, and chest. Eva responded, that is one of the things I was referring to. Take off your shirt. After removing his shirt, Naruto noticed a silver circle the size of 2 fists pressed together in the center of his chest, radiating blue light. He questioned, what is that, Eva? As he noticed black lines running from his stomach to it, as well as lines moving across his body in that direction. Eva continued, that is the power device for the armor. The seal lines that are connected to it follow your chakra network to go over your entire body, including the chakra from the kyuubi inside your stomach. I will not bore you with all the technical details since you will not understand it, but basically your kyuubi and your chakra are now one. The chakra your heart creates to go to your body now goes directly into that device, as well as the chakra from kyuubi, where both are now purified and controlled and directed across your body perfectly to allow you the maximum effect possible for someone as unique as you. Now your body is no longer in a constant war trying to beat the other chakra source, so your control of your chakra should double. Once you learn water walking, it will give you high chunin level control, and if you learn kunai balancing, then you will have junin level control. With wide eyes, Naruto thought. Cool, Eva responded. I am happy you like it. Now if this device is destroyed you will die, so you must protect it when you are not wearing the armor. With a scowl, Naruto remarked, I see, so what now? How long was I asleep? Eva replied, it has been 1 week since the preliminaries, you have 3 weeks left. 3 weeks, I need to train, yelled Naruto. Eva replied, relax Naruto and I will help you, I am more than just armor. Alright, Eva, tell me what to do, Naruto said. Wearing the same black pants and black shirt he had on when he woke up, Naruto entered the chunin exam stadium 3 weeks later, grinned, and approached the other genins. Shikamaru narrowed his eyes and said, I see you got some respectable cloths Naruto, though I don't see any weapon pouches. Troublesome. He thought, that's strange, why does his shadow show his hair as flat and curved while his hair looks like it is spiky like normal? Naruto replied, yeah, consider it one of several late birthday presents from my father. Did the kid learn who his parents are after all this time? I hope he did and that they didn't just abandon him, Genma said, blinking as he chewed his senbon. Shino stated, you are different now Naruto, your chakra is not as unusual as it once was. Naruto replied, oh, that let's just say my mind and body are truly at peace for the first time in a long time. Sakura gazed at Naruto from the top of the stand, and Ino remarked, well, he's not half bad now that he's out of the orange nightmare. She said, I wonder where Sasuke-kun is and what's up with Naruto, he seems different, I can't place my finger on it. A man laughed and said, you look like a heavy burden has been lifted from your shoulders, I hope my gift makes up for the pain you felt. Your father would have been proud of you, also it would help my daughter to learn that the Hyuga is not invincible. The third narrowed his eyes and attempted to dispel any genjutsu Naruto might have on him, but none appeared. He thought, it appears Naruto had an interesting month off, I wonder why he came here unarmed, or did he? No, he could not know who his father is, it's not possible. The third person read Shikamaru's lips before reading Naruto. His eyes widened, and he gestured to the guard next to him and muttered, please bring Naruto here a moment, I would like to ask him about his teammate and instructor. Pardon me a moment, but the Hokage would like to speak to Uzumaki a moment about his missing teammate and instructor, the guard said, nodding before vanishing in a whirlpool of leaves. As Naruto approached, the guard placed his hand on his shoulder, the two of them vanished in a whirlpool of leaves and emerged on the Hokage box. Whispering began among the audience. Someone asked, did something happen to Sasuke? Where are Kakashi and Sasuke? Did that boy do something to the Uchiha? With a gesture toward the guard, the third said, please give us a moment. Naruto said, so what's up, Gigi? As the two guards vanished in a flurry of leaves and reappeared across the street, I don't know anything about Sasuke Teme and Kakashi Teme because on the day of the preliminary meeting, Kakashi told me I wasn't worth his time. Actually, I wanted to know if I could switch to a different team after this test, even though it's only short term. I could cover for Lee while he heals, or perhaps for a team that is shorthanded. Following Kakashi's statement, the third scowled before responding to Naruto's plea, saying, I will consider it, Naruto, but if Kakashi did not train you for the month, then who did? Naruto replied, oh, that, let's just say a debt to my father has been paid. Your father? Inquired the third, looking perplexed. Are you aware of his identity? I mean, I never do. He was interrupted by Naruto, who snorted and said, drop it, Gigi. I now know why you kept my dad's identity a secret from me and everyone else. It's likely that his adversaries would have destroyed the village or killed me long ago. After giving it a lot of thought, I've come to the conclusion that you made the right decision in this village. I would have probably shouted to the world that my dad was as important as you, but I don't care right now. He probably left me nothing because he passed away so abruptly, but I would like to know if my mother is still alive, if she left me anything, and who she is. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki, and she passed away from complications soon after giving birth to you, the third said with a frown. They were modest individuals who only cared about their personal space. Your godfather Jiraiya of the Sannin would own any scrolls or other items they left for you, along with the money they had for you that I had spent over the years. He is unable to care for you on the road due to his duties, which keep him away from the village for up to a year at a time. He sends money to help, and when you are strong enough to handle what he has to teach you, he intends to take you as his apprentice. I'm sorry, but there is nothing more I can say or provide. It's not a problem, Gigi, Naruto said. I'm relieved to know that they didn't simply hate me or leave me for Kyuubi. That's strange. Huh? This guy who is climbing the stairs is acting strangely. He has dead skin. Well, thank you for telling me about your teammate and sensei Naruto, the third person said, his eyes widening for a moment as he thought, so that is your plan, Orochimaru. I wanted to thank you for the advice and wish you luck today. I hope you do well. I'm prepared. When the two guards reappeared, one of them reached for Naruto, who just walked off the balcony. The Sandaime and both guards ran over and looked at Naruto as he was falling to the ground below. Naruto saw the cage approach and saw the expression on the Sandaime's face and said, "Take care, Gigi." Sakura yelled, "Naruto," as she watched him fall past, shocking a number of onlookers. Naruto said, "It appears that Sasuke is picking up on Kakashi-sensei's bad habit, and he will likely be 3 hours late," as he was about to hit the ground when something caused the dirt to fly around, covering the area. Does he receive special treatment or is he disqualified for wasting all of our guests' time if that occurs? Genma was saying, "Everyone is treated the same in these exams, kid." "All right," Naruto said, "tell me that in 3 hours. So, are we prepared? Every week, I have to deal with 2 models for the gay pedophile before I face the Shino and Shikamaru winner." While some snickered and Shikamaru muttered, "Troublesome," Neji glared. Tamari replied, "What makes you so sure you will live to make it to the 3rd round? Naruto sighed. "Trade secret toots. I can make it to the 3rd round without trouble. In fact, not only will I make it to the 3rd round, but when I defeat you I will embarrass you for what you did in the preliminaries." Tamari grumbled, "What, she your girlfriend or something? With the way you swore on her blood to avenge the Hyuga girl the other Hyuga beat, I figured she was your girlfriend. Of course there is that weak pink-haired slut who you also cheered for. That could be your girlfriend, but I guess that means Leaf Kunoichi or easy." Naruto replied, "Hardly babe women of Konoha have a class that other women can only dream to reach, and they hold themselves to standards a dirt rubber like you would never be able to claim to have. As for being my girlfriends, nope, they're all Leaf Ninja and we watch out for our own, and anyone who threatens Konoha and her people will have to go through me. And even Kyuubi was fucked when he met me. I was born to protect Konoha." Genma performed hand seals and created a system where everything said by Naruto and Tamari would be amplified for everyone to hear. Many women blushed when Naruto said that they held themselves to higher standards, and a few ninja gave him a respectful look when he said that they looked after themselves. Most people paled when he mentioned Kyuubi, but a few more showed some respect for him after that. This infuriated Tamari, and Genma, grinning, responded, "Well, as much fun as it was to hear you both verbally battle each other, that's not what we're here for." Naruto replied, "Have to keep our visitor entertained since Kakashi Teme and Sasuke Teme will probably be 3 hours late like Kakashi always is." Genma looked at him and replied, "Quite you now. As I was saying, the chunin selection exam now begins. The first match is between Neji Hyuga and Naruto Uzumaki. Would everyone else please leave the arena floor?" As Tamari left, leaving Naruto and Neji in the center of the ring with Genma, she gave Naruto a fierce look. Genma continued, "Now the rules are the same as before. You both will fight until your opponent is unable to continue or until I declare a winner, and if you continue to attack after I stop the match I will deal with you personally. Now the first match begins." Neji remarked, "You are fated to lose this match at dead last, like you could never hope to defeat a prodigy like me." Naruto appeared bored as he approached Neji slowly, causing everyone to blink. Several people spat out their drinks when Naruto yawned and continued to walk, saying, yeah, I'm sexy and you want to see me naked." Kiba was rolling on the floor laughing, and Hinata eeped as she fainted. Sakura said, "Baka," and slapped her head in disbelief. Tenten thought, "Oh boy, he's fucked." While choking on his soda, the man who rescued Naruto thought, "Oh god, that was priceless." More people started laughing when Neji opened his eyes and Naruto put his hands in front of his crotch and said, "Do you mind? I'm straight." According to Hiyashi, the boy has the gall to insult the Hyuga clan. "You are within my range of," Neji said. He was interrupted by Naruto, who used the word, peeping. With a smug expression that quickly turned to a frown, Neji glared and charged at Naruto, saying, 2 palm, 4 palm, 8 palm, 16 palm, 32 palm, 64 palm strike. He then turned to face Naruto, who yawned following the attack, and he asked, "What, was that supposed to do something?" "How?" Neji inquired. "I'm positive I hit all 64. How?" he said, his eyes wide. Naruto grinned as he grabbed Neji by the front of his coat while he was still stunned. When Neji eventually recovered, he started striking Naruto with palm strikes in the face and chest. Naruto then carefully raised Neji off the ground until he was a foot off the ground, at which point Neji yelled, "Why are my attacks not working?" As he began to slap Neji across his cheeks, first the left, then the right, and so on and so forth, Naruto pulled his hand back and said, "How dare you beaten up like Hinata? That you jackass, you are nothing but a violent asshole who attacks helpless female when they cannot even stand up. If that what is it? You give a call a prodigy, so I am happy I am a deceased last," he said, pulling his fist back to punch Neji in the face, knocking her back roughly 20 feet. When the Naruto he had been fighting suddenly exploded, knocking Neji back into the wall and knocking him out, everyone was shocked to see that Neji had actually been bitch slapped. Neji slowly got to his feet, winced, and rubbed his hand across his face across the field where Naruto had landed earlier. There was another puff of smoke, revealing the real Naruto. After blinking and glancing back and forth, Genma declared, "Winner Naruto Uzumaki." As he approached the other competitors, Naruto buffed his fingers against his chest and remarked, "That was too easy." Everyone was in disbelief. Everyone cheered and Tenten blinked, thinking, he won, but how? Genma was thinking, Bunshin Bakuha, but how did it survive all those strikes? What was that? Hiyashi Hyuga asked himself at first. It wasn't a Bunshin Bakuha. He looked at Naruto with his bloodline activated and thought, the Cage Bunshin absorbed the chakra from Neji's attack to power up before it exploded, but if that is what really happened, then how did he do it? It was a Cage Bunshin at first, so how did it change without anyone noticing? As well as Ta, it can't be. Numerous ninja in the arena had reached the same conclusion, each praising Naruto a little. Very impressive, thought the Sandiami. No one in Konoha could learn such a jutsu, so you'll have to explain how you did it to me. He would not have been able to cause the clone to explode because of the medical jutsu that the genin on the Kabuto team used, which can only be absorbed by direct skin contact and burns the amount absorbed evenly. That is a very impressive technique, Hokage-sama, the Kazekage remarked. I had no idea that there was a jutsu like that. Neither was I, the Sandiami said. I'm curious how he found it. The Kazekage remarked, perhaps we will find out later. Genma remarked, would Sasuke, Uchiha and Gaara please come to the arena floor? Down on the arena floor. Genma looked around as Gaara-san shushined to the arena floor with his arms crossed, and Naruto yelled, you might as well wait, since Kakashi is always 3 hours late. I warned you earlier that he would be 3 hours late. If you want, I can fight him. According to Shikamaru, troublesome blondes. With an angry expression, Tamari said, shut up both of you. Shikamaru inquired, so, Naruto, how did you do that? As Naruto laughed, how, after all, did you manage to inhale Neji chakra and set that clone off? Leaning against the wall, Naruto shrugged. The thought crossed Genma's mind. I can't extend his time because everyone heard me say nobody would get special treatment. The third thought was, Kakashi, I'm at a loss. With Orochimaru here, I have to keep the Sharingan out of his hands. He stood up, walked to the edge of the balcony, and said, honored guest. Naruto's remarks prior to the match about receiving special treatment were heard by some of the audience, and his recent statement stated that the feudal lord would demand an explanation for why I changed the rules for him. Sasuke Uchiha will forfeit his opportunity to advance in the exams since he failed to show up for his match and embarrassed you, the village, and himself. The Kazekage replied, surely we could extend him some time since I wanted to see his match. The third turned back to the crowd, which was beginning to grow noisy, and said, I realize that and I do have a plan, so please wait. He then sat down again and said, now since so many of you have come to see him fight, I have decided that he will fight the winner of the exam but will not be allowed to be promoted. This is bad, the Kazekage thought here, where my men could ensure he survived the invasion. I wanted Sasuke. I'll have to wait until he gets here. Below, Genma uttered the words, winner Gaara. Tamari scowled as Gaara glared at Genma and shushed back to the balcony. Kankuro muttered, what should we do? I can't fight because I have to save it for the plan. Genma responded, would Shino Aburame and Kankuro please come to the arena floor? When Kankuro said, I forfeit, a number of people jeered. Following their gaze on the Suna Genin, Naruto said, Shino, Shikamaru, can I talk to both of you for a second, and proceeded to the corner. Both Shikamaru and Shino came over and Naruto. I don't know what's going on, but when I was talking with the old man earlier I noticed something wrong with the Kazekage. All the skin on his face was dead, and I don't mean worn out or anything like that. I mean it was dead and starting to decompose. Shino replied, my bugs don't like the chakra of Gaara. It is like yours used to be, Naruto. Shikamaru said, what should we do? Something doesn't feel right about this, as Naruto's eyes widened. Naruto was saying, looks like it's time for your match, Shikamaru. Naruto asked in a hissing voice, why? As Shikamaru nodded and said, I forfeit. The entire crowd booed. Shikamaru replied, if there is something going on here, then I will need my chakra later, so I will conserve it. Are you sure you can beat Gaara? Naruto replied, yeah, but I don't know how good I will be after that match. You take care of Gaara, I will take care of Kankuro, and Shikamaru will take care of Temari if things really do go wrong here, Shino said as Shikamaru turned to face him. Naruto replied, right, I don't like this, but I got the feeling things are very wrong here. Why did you forfeit, you lazy bum? Temari yelled as she returned to the balcony. Shikamaru replied, simple troublesome woman leaf ninja, watch our own, you crossed the line with one of ours, so one of ours will cross the line with you, right, Naruto? Naruto jumped over the rail and struck the ground hard, making a small crater about 5 feet wide. He said, yeah, Shikamaru, I just wonder if she will even get to me when Shino lets his bugs go on her. What is that lazy bum doing? He could beat that sand bitch, yelled Ino from the top of the stand. Sakura said, it must be male egos, and shook her head. Something's going on here. He didn't quit to let Naruto deal with her, he quit to conserve his chakra. The Kankuro kid did it as well. You think they know something we don't? Asuma narrowed his eyes in response to Shikamaru's deceleration, and he looked at Kurenai next to him. As she began to scan the area, looking at each of the Suna ninja in the crowd, Kurenai remarked, I agree, look at Shino's jacket, he has uncuffed his sleeves so he can release his hive faster, and they are standing where they can see the 2 genin from Suna. They must know about the possible attack today and suspect Suna. Both Shibi and Shikaku narrowed their eyes at their sons and came to the same conclusion. Shibi then started to send bugs toward the Suna nins down the chair's arm in an attempt to deplete their chakra. Genma retorted, I hope you both are ready. Fight. Naruto and Gaara were standing opposite each other. As soon as the cork on Gaara's gourd burst out and fell to the ground, sand began to fly out of it and circle around Gaara. Mother said, you strong mother wants your blood. When he noticed that the sand had thrown itself at Lee, Naruto waited until it suddenly lunged at him. He then swiftly raised his right arm, and an explosion struck the sand as it charged at him, sending Naruto racing toward the arena's walls. Gaara, who had temporarily halted his attack due to the explosion, sent his sand out after Naruto, who was now adhering to the wall as the sand began to reach up to grab him. Naruto raised his right arm once more, and a small glint was reflected, and some people saw a senbon needle traveling toward Gaara. Naruto was running across the wall at full speed, with the sand pursuing him, when an explosion occurred where Gaara was standing, causing the sand to halt and return to Gaara. As the smoke from the explosion dissipated, everyone turned to watch Gaara as the sand armor surrounding him repaired itself, and he whispered to himself. Naruto stopped to consider. You were right, Eva, his sand attacks will withdraw to protect Gaara when an immediate threat is present. Those rocket senbon needles are good, but it appears that he has a second defense that I didn't really know about and was able to save him. What do you suggest? Eva stated, according to sonar scans, there is a pipe 20 yards east of your position that has water in it. I will target the spot on your HUD, and once you have the water you can use that jutsu. When Naruto noticed a marker appear in his field of vision and realized that the sand was pursuing him once more, he began to run around the wall. When he was across from them, he raised his right arm once more, and another senbon shot out of it, but to everyone 3 feet or more away. It seemed to have appeared out of thin air, flew across the stadium, struck the wall, and caused the wall to blow open with water splattering lightly out of it. Ino questioned, how is he making those explosions? Sakura, from the audience stand. According to Sakura, I don't know, Ino. As both girls looked and noticed Tenten, a voice from a few seats back said, exploding senbon needles. Ino replied, hey, you're that girl from the exams. Tenten replied, and you're both the banshees who had more of a cat fight than a ninja fight. Sakura remarked, so you know how Naruto is doing that then? Tenten replied, I know part of it, I saw them as they flew, but what I don't know is how he is launching them or even carrying them, since he is not throwing them, and I don't see any weapon pouches. He might have them under a genjutsu, but I don't think so since I have not been able to dispel one. As the water rapidly turned into a mist that covered the entire arena floor, Naruto grinned and leapt off the wall he was running on. He then flashed through hand seals and uttered the words, Hidden Mist no Jutsu. The sand started to roll into a ball around Gaara as he searched for Naruto. An eye of sand emerged in midair above the fog. While hiding in the fog, Naruto wondered, what now? Eva stated, radar has picked up an object floating in the air above the mist. Based on the display, I believe it is a viewing orb of some kind to spy on you. I believe destroying it would be beneficial. With a nod, Naruto asks, do you know where Gaara is? Eva replied, switching to infrared and ultraviolet. That must be him. Do you think that can piece that shell? Naruto thought as the HUD screen he was looking out of changed from normal to red and purple overlapping each other. He also noticed two shapes, one of which was inside a dome. After a few moments of silence, Eva remarked, using a 40% charge should work. After glancing at the power reading in the upper right corner, which was gradually rising from 60%, Naruto scowled and pondered, but that means I have to lose my cloaking shield. Correct, Eva said with a sigh. Naruto decided to do it. Naruto's cloak fell away, exposing his armor, and he raised his left arm toward the dome in the mist. Holding his palm up as a blue jewel in his glove began to glow with chakra. Everyone felt a huge chakra start to form, and they all tensed. Both the Kazekage and the third tensed as they sensed this. When he noticed that the power reading on the side was dropping to 20% left, Naruto thought, Eva, as soon as you have enough power to restore the cloak, do it. He jerked the wrist he was holding up, and a blue shock wave of chakra erupted from the jewel. As the sand surrounding the shell thickened and the chakra approached the Gaara shell, the entire stadium was rocked by an explosion that blew most of the mist away and brought dust and dirt into the area. Two figures appeared in the dust cloud as it started to clear, but no one was able to make out anything about them at last. Gaara's head was visible, half buried in sand, his eye appearing lifeless. When the smoke cleared, all that was visible to onlookers was blue light emanating from the dirt. However, as the light faded, Naruto's body was revealed, panting, and he uttered the words, note to self, get more range for 40% and reinforce my arms with chakra to withstand the kickback. He then collapsed to one knee, panting while clutching his left shoulder. Genma thought, just what the fuck was that, as she gazed at the two. As he grabbed his head and the sand started to cover his entire body, Gaara looked down, touched his bleeding chest, and asked, what is this? Is it my blood? When the ground started to vibrate and the dirt started to spin slowly, Naruto thought, that can't be good. Suddenly, a massive hand of sand formed and attempted to enclose him. Naruto said, shit, and he squatted down, leapt into the air, and the hand shot after him. When Gaara screamed out about his blood, the Suna ninja in the crowd started to become alarmed. Both Temari and Kankuro watched in concern for Gaara. Up in the cage box, the Sandyami turned to face the Kazekage, who turned to face him. One of the Suna guards tried to kill the Sandyami's guard when something blew through the floor, stopping the kunai that was going toward the guard. Everyone turned to see Naruto panting, and he yelled, look out! Then the whole flooring shattered, sending the Kazekage hurtling through the air as a massive fist of sand flew through the floor, and the ninja all leapt away. Naruto by the Hokage. All hell broke loose at that very moment. Shikaku's body was forming on the floor, with the arm already in place. Are you alright, Naruto? The Sandyami asked after landing on a fragment of the now ruined cage box. Naruto replied, yeah, but I don't know how many more of those sand fists I can take. I'm going to see if I can lure Gaara outside the village to try and keep people from being hurt. Are you sure, Naruto? The Sandyami asked with a frown. As he leapt into the air, Naruto exclaimed, trust me, to the surprise of the Sandyami. He hovered over the still-forming sand demon and raised his right wrist, launching 10 senbons that struck the sand and caused it to explode, attracting attention to the yellow eyes that had now formed. As he started to fly backward out of the village, Naruto uttered the words, oi, ugly, follow me. Shikaku, who had now completed his formation with Gaara awake atop its head, yelled, I shall have your blood for mother. He then started to pursue Naruto, gradually demolishing a portion of the stadium wall in the process. I can't help the village if I can take out Gaara, but I guess I have no choice, Naruto thought as he saw Gaara sitting on top of the sand body and heard multiple explosions rock the village. Eva, I am going to hit the head of that thing with every ounce of controlled chakra I have left. When I hit the ground, seal all armor, and I will use my regular chakra. Fortunately, we discovered that the person who gave me this didn't want me to die from running out of power, huh? Eva responded, I understand and will work on recharging the power cell as quickly as possible. After that, what are your orders? Naruto stated, when fully recharged, restore stealth shield and armor. Eva was saying, Roger. 12 minutes from deactivation till full recharge. Don't die in those 12 minutes, diverting all power to hand thrust cannon. As his armor materialized, Naruto felt his speed decreasing as he saw Gaara and the sand demon approaching. He then began to lose his thrust to stay in the air, so he pointed his left arm at Shikaku's head and Eva said, now. Naruto snapped his wrist, and the glowing jewel in his left hand fired a massive ball of chakra that was more than 40 feet wide at Shikaku's head, blasting it into billions of pieces. Gaara lost the body that was keeping him in the air, and his sand construct swiftly started to fall toward the ground below. where some sand caught up with him and started to protect him. However, as he hit the ground, he struck a tree he had broken as Shikaku, and a branch went through his side, sticking out covered in blood. When Shikaku inside Gaara had to choose between trying to survive and exact revenge, he immediately started attempting to keep Gaara alive. After firing the shot, Naruto flinched back and started spinning wildly, bouncing off of various branches before colliding with the ground. Naruto moaned, "Uw," as the armor vanished, and his head was seen bleeding from hitting it during the fall before he fainted. A little later, Naruto woke up, groaning and thinking, "Uw, my body." He tried to push himself off the ground, but instead he screamed, "Oh fuck my arm." He immediately grabbed his left arm and started rolling, trying to keep all pressure off it. After a few minutes, he finally gained enough control to sit up slowly. He then moved his knees beneath himself and stood up slowly, wincing, while holding onto his left arm. When he noticed a path cut through the broken tree limbs, he thought, "Now I know how a pinball feels." "Eva, you there?" "Yes," Eva's voice said. "Can you be a little quieter? My head is killing me," Naruto thought, winced. Eva's voice became quieter as she asked, "Is this better?" "Yeah, so what's the status and how long was I out?" Naruto thought. Eva replied, "It has been 4 hours since your fight with Gaara and currently you are only at 25% power total." Naruto looked up and said, "Run that by me again." "I got the 4-hour part, but what do you mean I am only at 25%? I should be fully recovered by now." Eva was quiet for a while and said, "Based on my scans of your body over the past 3 weeks, I have a several explanation that could be correct, but I am unable to determine which is true at the moment, but all seem to point at one thing: you are not receiving any chakra from the Kyuubi. The two most promising explanations are that either the Kyuubi somehow is able to stop his chakra from being sent to you or something is blocking the Kyuubi chakra from entering your system." With a frown, Naruto surveyed his surroundings and reflected, "And you only discovered this now?" Eva responded, "The reason I was not able to identify this problem before was because your chakra system was already loaded with large amounts of Kyuubi chakra. Over the past 3 weeks you have been slowly using what was in your system originally before receiving me, and it has taken till now to use it all up. However, this does bring some good news." Naruto reflected, "I don't see how anything right now could be really good news with as much pain as I am in now. No fox chakra means my healing is slow, which is why I am so damaged. How bad am I right now anyways?" Eva stated, "Your entire left arm is shattered into 20 pieces and your left shoulder is disconnected. You have 3 cracked ribs and a concussion." Sweating, Naruto thought, "And the good news?" Eva replied, "Now that all of the fox chakra is out of your coils, only purified controlled chakra will be in your coils, which will increase your control." As he glanced at himself and noticed the power cell beneath his shirt, Naruto shook his head, winced, and said, "Add a crick in my neck to that list. Which way is it back to the village, and where is Gaara? Wait a minute, where is the armor?" Eva stated, "Due to your injuries, I believe turning on the armor would only cause more injury at this time. However, I can activate the chest armor to hide the power cell if you would like. As for Gaara, he should be a mile east of your location and the village is 2 miles south of that." Naruto was thinking, "Give me what you can on the armor because I don't want to reveal it if I can." As he started to slowly move east, Naruto winced as he saw the armor and cloak appear on his chest. He thought, "Good call on the armor. Eva, hold off on anymore until I can get my arm and head checked." 20 minutes later, Naruto spotted a vast field of sand. He turned to see Gaara sticking a tree limb through his side. He winced at the sight of the dried blood that had trickled down it, and he exclaimed, "Oi, you dead?" Naruto responded to Gaara's slight groan by saying, "Not dead, just hanging, huh?" Gaara asked, "Have you come to kill me?" as he attempted to turn his head. "No," Naruto said, noticing that Gaara was staring at him, "but if you stay like that too long you will die." Gaara replied, "Mother has said the same thing but is unable to get me down without causing me to bleed to death." "You talked a lot about your mother. Where is she?" asked Naruto, blinking. "Mother is inside me. Mother has been with me since father sealed mother into me," Gaara said, suddenly quiet. "You're a Jinchuriki, aren't you? You have a demon inside of you," Naruto said, his eyes softening after briefly widening. According to Gaara, "Yes, Ichibi no Shukaku." Gazing into Gaara's eyes, Naruto remarked, "I understand how you feel. Gaara, I have the Kyuubi no Kitsune in me. The pain, it hurts to see those looks and hear their words, to always feel alone." Gaara responded, "If you really do have the Kyuubi in you, why do you not just kill them all and prove your existence?" Naruto took a leisurely stroll over to where the Gaara was wearing and replied, "Because it would never change anything and would not ever prove my existence as me. It would only show people that I was Kyuubi instead of Naruto Uzumaki. Besides, No matter how strong Kyuubi or Shukaku or we are stronger than they are, after all they are our prisoners, we are in charge of them, so we are the stronger of them. If we die they die, but if they die we don't die. They need us to live but we don't need them. How are you stronger than Kyuubi? Because I am weak to Shukaku. If I go to sleep he devours my soul. How can I become stronger? Gaara asked after sitting there for a few minutes contemplating. Naruto sighed as he raised his left arm. Find something that is precious to you, you sibling, your village, your friends, and protect them with everything you have. Only when you protect what is precious to you can you ever find true strength. Gaara, someone very wise and very strong, once told me that, and I honestly believe it. Naruto heard a familiar voice say, well said, Naruto. Hey Gigi, this is Gaara. He's a Jinchuriki too, but he said he can't ever get sleep or Shukaku eats his soul. Think you might be able to help him, Naruto said as he turned to face the Sandame, who was approaching him with 4 Anbu. I will see what I can do. You are the youngest son of the Kazekage, right? The third said, turning to face Gaara. Yes, Gaara replied. The third replied, I hate to tell you this, but it appears that Suna was tricked into attacking our village because we found the face of your father peeled away and left on the ground after the battle. We believe Orochimaru killed him. Your village and the Sound village have both fled, but your siblings are here and they are currently in jail until we can get this mess figured out. Are you willing to surrender so we can get you some medical care and I can have a look at your seal? Trust him, Gaara. He's one of my precious people, and if you want you can be one. Also friends, Naruto said as Gaara turned to face him. According to Gaara, I have never had friends before. Naruto remarked, well, you got one now, how about it? Very well, but I can't fully control my sand. Shukaku is yelling for me to kill you all right now, Gaara said. Search the village, find Jiraiya, and bring him here, the third said. Act quickly. Naruto asked, can Jiraiya help Gaara? Gigi? As the Anbu departed. If anyone can, he can, the third person said. He did, after all, train your father. Then maybe he can fix mine too, Naruto said with a smile. Kyuubi chakra cut me off for some reason right now. Looking back, it might have been when that snake guy struck me in the stomach before I passed out in the forest of death. With a scowl, the third said, let me watch you seal, Naruto. Oh shit, can we wait until later, somewhere more private? Naruto said, reaching for his shirt. Does this have something to do with why you could fly? The third one asked, his eyes narrowing. Naruto replied, yeah, I was warned that if I showed anyone, they would try to figure it out and I would die. I believe Eva referred to it as a failsafe. The third person questioned, who's Eva? Naruto. Naruto replied, let's just say that I have a voice in my head now, but it's not Kyuubi. Hell, she's not even really alive either for that. Very well, scowled the third, but I want to hear everything later, Naruto. All right, Naruto said, but could you calm down a bit? I have 3 cracked ribs, a dislocated left shoulder, a shattered left arm, and a concussion. I will have to get you to the hospital then, the third said with a frown. Naruto replied, no please, no hospital. I can't take the chance someone finds out about this. The third scowled and opened his mouth to say something, but all 4 Anbu came back with Jiraiya and Kakashi. Kakashi's eyes dulled and he turned his head away, so Naruto scowled at him. What are you doing here, Kakashi? The third person asked after noticing this. I don't recall asking you for it. Kakashi responded, I was with Jiraiya when the Anbu informed him that you were here with Naruto, so I came to check on my student. The third individual replied, he is being taken care of, so you may go and help with the cleanup now. Kakashi scowled, looked at Naruto, and walked away as Naruto flinched and grasped his head. After a few minutes of waiting, the third said, he's gone now. Jiraiya asked, what do you need, sensei? After glancing at Naruto and Gaara, I was headed out to conduct some research. I need you to look at Gaara's seal here, said the third. He is the Ichibi's Jinchuriki, and since the seal seems unstable, I must control it for the village's safety before I can get him medical attention. Jiraiya's lighthearted demeanor changed and she said, all right, I want to watch you seal, kid. Gaara glanced at Naruto, who replied, I trust him, Gaara, if Gigi says he's okay. He is also my godfather. Jiraiya scowled at the Sandame, who stated, I had to tell him about his mother and you because he already knew who his father was before today. Don't worry, he won't tell anyone. As the sand began to fall off Gaara's body and he pulled his shirt to reveal the seal on his chest, Jiraiya sighed and remarked, we can talk later, kid. Don't worry about it, Naruto said in contrast to Kakashi Teme, who believes I am not worthy of his time. At least you had a valid excuse for not being there for me and sent money to keep me alive. Jiraiya scowled and remarked, I think I will have a few words with him later, sensei. The third responded, I will, to Naruto. Do you recall anything the pale-skinned man said when he struck your stomach? Naruto said, "Let me think a minute. After I was eaten by that giant snake and used Kage Bunshin to make it explode, I ran to where Sasuke and Sakura were." Jiraiya, who was examining the seal on Gaara's chest, overheard. "Sasuke was trembling when I arrived, and he threw our scroll to the snake guy, promising to give it up if he allowed us to survive. I took the scroll, called Sasuke a coward, and asked him what would prevent him from killing us once he obtained it, because I could tell the man was going to kill us. Before he used this large snake that attempted to devour Sasuke, Teme and Sakura, I jumped in front of them, swore, and crushed the snake's skull with a kunai and my fist. The snake guy then used his tongue to hold me in the air by my neck, and his fingers glowed different colors. He said something about 5 stars, but I didn't hear the rest because it hurt and I passed out. The snake guy claimed to be surprised that I had survived his pet, so he attacked me." What they heard startled the nearby Anbu, and the third said, "I see, we'll take care of it when we return to my office, because I believe I know what he used on you. After I finish with this kid here, I can take care of it." Jiraiya said, "Whoever did his sealing seems to have done it badly on purpose. They used a berserker seal with a 3-star seal. I can fix it, but you won't have to worry about the demon anymore, and it will hurt for a few minutes before you pass out." Gaara replied, "I would appreciate it because I need to protect my siblings and my home. You should try to be Kage when you return so that our villages can reunite and we won't be duped again when I become Hokage." Naruto said, "How does that sound?" As Jiraiya worked on the seal, Gaara was silent for a short while before he said, "Yes, I will become Kage so I can protect my friend and his precious people. I think that's the fastest peace negotiation I have ever seen," the third said with a smile. "Jiraiya, don't you agree?" Jiraiya replied, "No. The fastest was when I asked Tsunade Haim out for drinks and she sent me flying with her super strength." With a laugh, the third questioned, "Will you ever learn?" "Never," Jiraiya said. "You're ready, child?" After a moment of hesitation, Jiraiya said, "He's okay, but the sand that is keeping him from bleeding to death is falling away, so you better get him to the hospital and fast." Gaara nodded, and Jiraiya's glowing fingers slammed into what he had drawn on Gaara's chest. Gaara screamed out before he passed out. "Anbu, get him to the hospital for emergency care and don't leave his sight for anything until I come for him," the third said. "Nobody else understands that." They cut the limb holding him in place and shushined away after all 4 nods. Naruto flinched when the third put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Meet us in my office." The third then switched shoulders and apologized before they shuffled away. Jiraiya shushed away as well. Looking around, the first thing he said upon entering the Hokage office was, "So what's up? Are you sure that no one can see or hear anything, because I can't risk anyone finding out?" The third asked, glancing at Naruto. "I'm not even sure if I should show you, but I have no other option because I need assistance." After Jiraiya locked the door and the third closed the window blinds, the third sent chakra to a seal on the desk, causing the room to briefly glow. The third then declared, "Okay, Naruto, this room is secure now. How are you flying, and what's going on?" After Jiraiya blinked, Naruto commanded, "Eva, deactivate your stealth shield." When a set of armor appeared on Naruto's chest, the Sandaime and Jiraiya blinked. Naruto then said, "Seal armor." The armor vanished, and Jiraiya's and the third's eyes narrowed as they noticed a bulge beneath his shirt. The third person questioned, "What is that, Naruto?" Jiraiya approached Naruto and asked, "What happened to you?" As he examined all the seal lines that ran along his body and into the device that was built into his chest, Naruto winced as he reached for his shirt and pulled it off, causing both men to gasp. Naruto explained, "I was furious the day of the preliminary after Kakashi told me I wasn't worth his time. I said something about finding a way to beat Sasuke in the exams, even if I had to use Kyuubi or something like that, because I was so furious. As I was leaving, a guy pulled me into a hospital room and asked if I was really that furious and felt I had to use the fox for people to see that I am not just a worthless piece of trash. He instructed me to meet him there at 8 o'clock and handed me a business card with his home address written on the back. After I did, he led me into the cellar and told me a story about how he knew who my father was and how he had sent the Kakashi team to alert the king about his brother's treachery because his father had saved his wife and his life when they were fleeing from Snow Country. As he explained that he and his wife had developed the original snow armor prototype and that he wanted to give it to me before revealing that my dad was Yondaime Minato Namikaze and calling me Naruto Namikaze before I passed out. I don't really remember anything because I was getting really tired and my head hurt. When I woke up, I was sitting by myself on a table in that room. A week had gone by, and I was wearing snow armor that was both Siberia Rebo something and metallurgy, or something similar. I can't say those words, Eva, he said, hearing Eva in his mind. According to the third, metallurgy and cybernetic robotics. Says Naruto. Yeah, Those words? So what exactly is that thing in your chest, Naruto? The third scowled. The armor's power source, according to Naruto, purifies both my chakra and the Kyuubi chakra, giving me more control over my chakra. Eva, the voice that helps me understand everything, said that now that my body is totally free of any remaining Kyuubi chakra, the remaining chakra from Kyuubi and me will be the purified controlled chakra, which will enable me to use jutsu more effectively and waste less chakra in the last 3 weeks. She has taught me how to fly, use the exploding rocket senbon, water walk, and that hidden mist jutsu we also practiced using the thrust cannon a few times. How come no one has reported to me about you using these? Inquired the third. Oh, that's easy, Naruto said after learning the basics of flying in the woods behind the Hokage monument, which took about 3 hours. I returned to Wave Country and paid Inari and his family a visit. Did you know that Tsunami is an excellent chef and that they named their bridge the Great Naruto Bridge in my honor? Due to my knowledge of water walking, I only lost 60% of my chakra on the way back last night, even though I expended 80% of it traveling there. You should have told me you were leaving Naruto and I could have sent someone with you, the third said, scowling. Blinking, Naruto rubbed his head and said, didn't your secretary give you my letter? I know my weight. How did I know my clone gave her that letter? I see, the third said with a frown. I will Naruto moaned in agony as he repeatedly clasped his hands together until he had them nearly in the proper position. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 2 clones materialized, one of whom appeared ill, and Naruto remarked, damn, now I am back down to 10%. Go read something in a book quickly and dispel yourself, you good one. The clone approached the bookshelf, picked up a book, and opened it. The clone passed out as the smoke rose, and Naruto's nose started to bleed and he exclaimed, ew. Who wrote that nonsense? Who would be interested in reading about what Carol and Elaine did to John? When Jiraiya struck Naruto in the head, causing him to wince and rub his head, he said, hey Gaki, I wrote that. Naruto then remarked, you wrote that perverted crap? Yes, I did. Jiraiya said the Icha Icha Paradise books are written by me. Anyway, it looks like anything a Kage Bunshin learns goes back to the original. Why don't you use them to do your paperwork, Gigi? Naruto said, making both adults perspire. Oh, you are the guy Kakashi jacks off to and why he is 3 hours late. As he made 2 clones and had them start reading the scrolls on the desk, the third blinked repeatedly while slamming his head against the desk and screaming, all that time, wasted. Anyways Jiraiya, check the Kyuubi seal and those others and see what they do, the third said after he had made the clones. Nodding, Jiraiya said, channel your chakra. Jiraiya said, well, you got a 5-star seal, and I can fix that easily, after Naruto completed the task. Eva said, 20253035%. The filter will not let any more through until your body creates more of your chakra. As he held out his hand, it glowed 5 different colors before he slammed it over Naruto's stomach, and Naruto screamed, shit, that hurt? Everyone watched as the blue in the crystal on Naruto's chest turned red for a moment before turning pink and then blue. I'm currently at 35%, but until my body produces more of my own chakra, it won't allow any more Kyuubi chakra to enter. Jiraiya remarked, this work is impressive Naruto, whoever did this to you had given it a lot of thought and effort. To limit the quantity of Kyuubi chakra entering the filter at once, they placed an additional set of gates in your body. Since they employed so many simple seals to accomplish their tasks, they were not a seal master, but it's interesting to note that they wanted to assist you as much as they could in case the Kyuubi ever tries to escape. They also install a number of mental blockers to prevent you from being influenced by the Kyuubi chakra with whoever did this. I would like to compare notes on a few items. He glanced at Naruto and asked, what did you say his name was and what did he look like? He was roughly as tall as Kakashi and had brown eyes and hair, but he never gave me his name, Naruto remarked in order to conceal them from the man in Snow Country. The father gave them new names and lives after his wife passed away while giving birth to a daughter. How are your injuries? The third person inquired. Naruto replied, my head is feeling a little better and my ribs are not hurting as bad. I can't tell anything in my arm. Sensei, Jiraiya said, glancing at Naruto's arm, his arm is seriously damaged. It will never heal itself, and I don't think anyone in Konoha can fix it. How could you have broken it so badly? The thrust cannon, Naruto said. When I was fighting Gaara and Shukaku, I used 40% at first, then about 55% while in the air to blow Shukaku's head off. It worked, but I crashed through some trees because I had no more power and hit the ground hard before fainting. Normally, I only use 5 or 10%, and I can blow up a tree at that level, but if it weren't for my armor, I most likely would have perished. After a brief period of silence, the third said, Naruto, do you think you're capable of traveling? Yes, Naruto replied, but not by flying or tree hopping. Why? The third stated, "First, you are Jiraiya's new apprentice, and I promote Naruto Uzumaki to the rank of chunin for strategic thinking and bravery beyond the call of duty in order to become the Godem Hokage and repair Naruto's arm. I am assigning you both an S-rank mission to find Tsunade and return her to Konoha. Only the three of us now know what was said here, and we will always keep it that way." When Eva said, "Don't do it," Naruto's eyes widened as he made chunin, then the Godem part, and began to speak. "Simply express gratitude for believing in me, and you agree." Naruto asked himself, "But why?" Eva responded, "Because you don't want them thinking you are a weak idiot but a respected ninja, right?" On the third, Jiraiya noticed that Naruto's expression changed multiple times. He sighed and said, "Thank you for believing in me. I accept Chunin's promotion and the mission. When do we leave Ero Sanin?" The third asked, making Jiraiya laugh. Jiraiya replied, "Don't call me that, Gaki, and we can leave as soon as you're packed." "Everything I own is on my back," Naruto remarked. "I have nothing in my apartment except ripped furniture because I was robbed again while I was away." "Right. Well, hide your what should we call that thing?" Jiraiya glared at the third. "Core," Naruto said, "I should warn you both that I will perish if this thing is destroyed. Eva, please arm me completely except for my left arm and shoulder." When both adults noticed that Naruto's body was covered in red and gold armor before it was cloaked, he remarked, "Damn, I only got 150 senbon left, so I will have to get some more." "Does it matter what kind of senbon?" inquired Jiraiya. Both men's eyes widened when Naruto uttered, "Standard senbon. Somehow the launcher in my right wrist automatically engraves the seal and charges them when they are launched. I can only launch 10 a second though." The third person inquired, "How many can you carry?" Naruto replied, 500. I think that is a fair trade-off for the shurikens and kunais. I don't use any more. I can hit a target at 100 yards within 2 inches at that distance." "Is this Eva going to teach you anything else?" inquired the third. Naruto replied, "Not unless I spend some time in snow. Eva only knows 20 jutsu counting water, walking and the hidden mist jutsu. The rest are snow jutsu. Since this armor was originally the prototype for Snow Country Ninja to be able to better protect their home, but the Dodo guy had other plans. Luckily they didn't get all the info on this suit but only pieces from the guy who survived meeting Dad." The third reached into a drawer and gave Jiraiya a scroll and said, "That is your chunin vest. Once you can put it on Jiraiya, there will be no research on this mission. You are to find Tsunade and get him healed. I received word from Weasel and he said they are starting to move and he will be making an inspection of the target soon." With wide eyes, Jiraiya remarked, "I see, come on kid, we got a lot of things to do in a short amount of time." Taking a step behind Jiraiya, Naruto replied, "Sure." The security seal was deactivated by the third after they left, saying, "ANBU." When 4 Anbu showed up, he commanded, "Get me Hitaki Kakashi, Shikamaru Nara, and Shino Aburame." As the third took out 2 more scrolls similar to the one he gave Jiraiya, the other 4 nodded and departed in a flurry of leaves. Jiraiya replied, "You know, we need to come up with a code name for you when you're not hiding like you are now in that thing." With a frown, Naruto questioned, "Like what?" A picture of a man lifting weights caught Jiraiya's eye, and she thought, "How about Ironman?" He looked at Jiraiya, blinked, and then said, "What the hell are you on, and do you have any more of it? It might help with the pain in my arm right now." "Damn it," Jiraiya said, raising his hand to strike Naruto, "probably breaking my hand on that steel head of yours if I did it." With a sly smile, Naruto remarked, "Besides, since I am not telling anyone else, nobody is going to find out." This time Jiraiya struck Naruto in the back as he said, "Baka, eventually everyone will find out about it. We live in a world where everyone are masters of finding out secrets, and once they do they will beat your ass every time you turn around. You have no idea exactly what you did by pulling this stunt, do you? Let's go Ero Sanin and find this lady. I don't want the rumor mill around here spread word about you trying to hook me up with some hooker when I don't want to have sex," Naruto said, causing Jiraiya to receive multiple glares from the nearby woman. "Nice distraction for now, brat, but you still have to hear what I have to say when we make camp tonight. Until then, I want to test your observation skills. You remember everything you see and hear until we make camp, and I will ask questions then about what we saw," Jiraiya said, ignoring them as she began to follow Naruto toward the gate. Jiraiya said to the chunin at the gate, "Jiraiya of the Sanin and Chunin Uzumaki leaving for a mission. Come on, brat," as he started to lead the way out of the village, and Naruto responded sarcastically, "Great." After exchanging glances, the 2 guards uttered the words, "Congrats, Naruto." Naruto looked up and said, "Damn, how the hell do you both always get the shitty jobs? First that stunt at the first exam and now this." "Come on brat, we are in a hurry, remember," Jiraiya's voice said. "Well, You heard him thank you. By the way, it's nice to know someone here appreciates me, Naruto sighed. Kotetsu replied, when you get back, how about we celebrate welcoming you into the ranks, then you can learn that this right here is considered D rank for chunins. As he attempted to run to capture Jiraiya, Naruto remarked, too bad, I got an S rank right now, see ya. As he watched Naruto flee, Kotetsu scowled and questioned, Azumo, what's wrong with that picture? Azumo replied, his arm, something's wrong with it, the way he's guarding it, think he was injured in the invasion earlier. Kotetsu stated, I'm not sure, but the Anbu have said it was him who took out that sand creature that appeared. Apparently they're spreading word amongst the ranks, anyone fucks with him they won't wake up when the Anbu find out. He changed a lot of people's views today. Azumo replied, about time. I heard a rumor he is a national hero in Wave Country right now. Really? Said Kotetsu, I hadn't heard that yet. Azumo replied, yeah, some hunter came through about a week ago looking for bounties in that area and said they named this huge bridge that connects Wave to the Fire Country after him. Smirking, Kotetsu uttered, give them hell, kid. With a laugh, Azumo asked, so which one is it this time, Kurenai or Anko? Kotetsu placed a hand on his chin and remarked, this time, I think it's Yugo. Azumo replied, maybe this will give her a chance to blow off some steam also since Hiati died. Both men shivered before they started laughing when Kotetsu said, yeah, welcoming new chunin to the ranks with a night of drinking and then a panty raid on one of the deadliest women in our ranks. Poor Iruka hasn't gone toward another woman since he raided Anko. In the Hokage office, the third had two Cage Bunshin doing paperwork while he looked out over the village when two puffs of smoke appeared and he looked back and said, ah, Shikamaru and Shino. I want to thank you both for coming so quickly with recent events. Now I am sure you both are wondering what I called you for. The answer is simple. Based on what I have seen and heard from the ninja in the stadium, had it not been for both your actions, then we would have had a lot more casualties than we did. Your father Shino sent his hives discreetly through the crowd and drained the sand ninja to where they only had enough chakra left not to pass out before everything went to hell, and then he quickly knocked them out. And your father Shikamaru sent his shadow to all the sand ninja near him, and when the battle started they could not move, and Inoichi and Shuza was able to kill them quickly. Both your sensei also noticed and discreetly informed other chunin and junin near them, so when the attack happened nearly all the Suna ninja were taken out in the first 20 seconds of the battle. While this was going on, both of you worked together to capture and drain the two Suna siblings that you then tied up and secured, giving us several political prisoners. Shino stated, we would not have been fully prepared had Naruto not informed us about something being wrong with the cage, increasing our suspicion that something was not right. The third replied, yes, Naruto informed me also, and I was able to send a message to Ibiki alerting him to begin the civilian evacuation, and it was nearly complete when the battle started, which is why we only have a small section of the village damaged. Shikamaru replied, plus Naruto taking out that sand creature Gaara turned into. The third replied, yes, if it was not for Naruto then odds are a lot of good people would have died today. I know some died and several are injured, but nowhere near the number that it could have been if we had not been alerted that Suna was also involved, which is why I am promoting all three of you to chunin. Naruto has already received his vest and is on a very important mission right not? Shino inquired, why is his blood in this room? Hokage-sama, my hives detect his blood here and fresh. Both boys' eyes widened when the third sighed and said, Naruto received several injuries during his battle with Gaara, one of which may end his shinobi career if the person they're going to get can't repair the damage done. Shikamaru replied, and you sent him injured on this mission not only to see if Tsunade, who is the only one with the skills that surpass those in Konoha, so she would heal his injuries, but also to protect him should some of the villagers decide to take advantage of him while he is weak, correct? As he raised his sunglasses, Shino remarked, that is the most logical explanation. Their hatred for the Kyuubi would cause some to think this would be a good time to get revenge. The third asked, how do you both know about that? As the two Anbu in the room were both wide-eyed. Shikamaru smirked and said, until just now we only suspected honestly. Shino and I have both seen how Naruto was cast aside by others in the village, and after researching we learned his birthday was October 10th, the day of the Kyuubi attack, separately of course. Then recently when I went to visit Choji in the hospital for overeating, I ran into Shino, who had been visiting Hinata, and Shino hives detected Gaara sand and we followed the bug to Lee room where I used my shadow possession jutsu to capture him while Shino tried to drain him of his chakra since he was about to kill Lee. He then told us about how he had an incarnate of sand inside of him and how his birth killed his mother and how his father tried to assassinate him. Then Gai Sensei showed up and Gaara left, but as we were leaving Shino commented how Gaara chakra was like Naruto, and we discussed what we knew and researched, and we both believe that Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and we also both believe that he is the son of Minato Namikaze. the Yondaime Hokage, since he is basically a carbon copy of him. Until we saw and heard your reaction a moment ago, all we had was a belief, but now we know that we are right about the Kyuubi. The third sighed and replied, yes, you are both correct on that. I passed a law that no one was allowed to speak about the Kyuubi and its true fate so that Naruto could try and live a normal life. However, his life has hardly been normal. You both cannot tell anyone because it is an S-class secret. In fact, Naruto did not know about it until the day he graduated from the academy, when an instructor tricked him into stealing the forbidden scroll and then tried to kill Naruto. Shikamaru replied, so that is how Naruto graduated and how he also learned Kage Bunshin. Did he kill Mizuki? The third individual replied, you are smarter than you let on. Shikamaru, how did you figure out it was Mizuki? According to Shino, Iruka is still at the academy and Naruto and him got closer after graduation for some reason and Mizuki disappeared. Shikamaru continued, and then there was the talk about the whole Mizuki incident that was whispered about for a while. The third person replied, well, you both have surprised me with what you have figured out, but the question is, what will you do with this info now that you have it? Shino stated, Naruto is no different than my clan, as he has Kyuubi inside of him like I have my hive, but we are each unique beings. It would be illogical to change my view of him than how I see him already, which is a comrade and possible a friend. Shikamaru responded, it's troublesome, but I don't see him any different than before either. Naruto is Naruto. The third laughed and said, perhaps you both should tell him you know about the Kyuubi sometime and that you accept him. He could use someone to talk to his own age now. As for your promotions, as he gave each one a scroll and said, inside is your vest, wear them proudly, you earned them. As for the matter of Naruto parents, he knows who they were now and it is his decision to tell anyone or not. I would ask that you don't tell anyone about Naruto promotion until he returns, because there are those on the council who will try and strip it from him, and I need to focus on the village for the moment. And Anbu, you are not to repeat anything you heard or you both will be spending time with both Ibiki and Anko in their playhouse, making everyone tremble. After giving a nod, the Anbu snatches both boys and leaves. The third sighed after they left, looking at the Hokage monument and remarking, that's two now Naruto, maybe you will gain more. The third turned and grinned as he said, ah Kakashi, I called you here because I wanted to say sorry for the way I was acting earlier. You see, there was a situation going on that could have turned very bad for the safety of the village if Jiraiya's concentration would have been broken from what I needed him to do. At that moment, a swirl of leaves appeared in the office. Kakashi replied, I see. Is there anything I should know about what Naruto was doing there? The third individual stated, Naruto was there because he was injured defending the village, and also because I had discovered something that required Jiraiya attention regarding Naruto's seal. With a blink, Kakashi questioned, is everything contained? The third replied, yes, though I do have a question for you. Why is it over a month later that I learned that Orochimaru messed with the Kyuubi seal while Team 7 was in the Forest of Death? I was not aware of that. No one on my team informed me about Orochimaru even touching Naruto, Kakashi remarked, scowling behind his mask. The third said, then why did you sign off on Sakura's report that stated Orochimaru hit Naruto in the stomach with a glowing hand? As he approached and opened a drawer. After reading the report, Kakashi remarked, as soon as I learned about Sasuke's curse seal, I started getting ready for the containment seal. The third individual replied, very well, but in the future please watch for these kind of things and read all the reports of your team before you hand them in. Luckily all Orochimaru did was seal off the Kyuubi chakra from Naruto, making it where he had to deal with only his own chakra reserves until now. Kakashi asks, is he alright? While nodding, the third replied, no, he has a mild concussion that is now healing, as well as several cracked ribs, and his left arm is severely damaged. In fact, he may wind up losing his arm if Tsunade cannot fix it, causing Kakashi to gasp. I see, I will go and Kakashi said. The third replied, you can't. He is no longer in the village. Jiraiya took him to look for Tsunade to bring her back and to look at his arm. She is the only hope he has now. I have several questions that you are to answer me, Kakashi, because you and Sasuke have caused me several headaches that will be coming for the next several months. Now my first question is, why was Sasuke not at the stadium for the beginning of the chunin exams? I had to ask Naruto, making it look like I did not have control of my ninja, where you were, and he informed me that he had not seen you or him since the day of the preliminaries, and I will be asking about that later, but for now I want my first question answered, and don't give me any bullshit answer because I am not in the mood. Kakashi stated, I took Sasuke to train at Fire Canyon. As you know, it is a 6-hour trip back here from there, and I had lost a day somewhere in our training, and I honestly thought the exams were tomorrow and that we were coming back today to rest up for the exams. It was not until we heard the explosions that we realized the exams were today. After scowling, the third remarked, that is a human error, but that also means that you were not here for any of the invasion then. Kakashi responded, No, by the time we arrived the sand and sound had already retreated and we had only just arrived when I ran into Jiraiya and the Anbu came to get him. I had sent Sasuke on into the village to help where he could and then I met up with you. The third man sighed and replied, because of Sasuke and your error this village will most likely lose several clients over the next few months. I had to declare Sasuke as a forfeit against Gaara. With the reaction over that announcement I will have to punish both you and him to show that Konoha does not tolerate disrespecting our clients and being less than competent. For Sasuke who place it should have been to remind you that today was the exams. He will lose the chance to become a chunin for the next 2 years. He will also have to do 5D rank mission a week by himself until the next chunin exams in 6 months. It will be his responsibility to make sure they're done because if he doesn't do them I will have no choice but to seal off his Sharingan as well until he can learn proper respect. With a nod, Kakashi said, I understand. The third replied, as for you Kakashi, I have no choice but to enforce a harsher punishment since I have been so lax with you that it is common knowledge to even our VIP that you are always late. Your punishment is as follows. You will be demoted to special Junin with your pay cut accordingly for the next 2 years in which you are under probation along with having to do a 12-hour guard duty once a month at the front gate for the entire 2 years. You are no longer allowed to be late for your team meetings, command meetings, summons, or missions. Do so and your Sharingan eye will be removed and replaced, causing Kakashi to become wide-eyed and the third off and stated, don't now. If you complete your probation of 2 years with no other reprimands and fill all requirements then you will be allowed to test for your Junin status restored. Do you understand your punishment? The third person nods and says, I am sorry about this Kakashi but you have to understand, for this error on your part Konoha will suffer even with the outstanding performance Naruto did today. We will lose some but not as many as we could. What did Naruto do? Inquired Kakashi. The third person became quiet for a moment and inquired, first, why did you not train Naruto? He didn't tell me anything but not seeing you since that day I know something happened because of the way he avoided speaking about it but he refused to tell me what so I want to know everything that happened that day. Kakashi exhaled and said, Naruto came to me in the hospital when I went to tell Sasuke to get ready and ask me to train him. I told him the truth that day and he did not like it. I told him that with his chakra control as it is right now that there was nothing that I could teach him in the month time to beat Neji and that the only reason I actually put him and Sakura in the exams was to gain actual experience that would aid them later. The only reason he passed the preliminaries was because he lost control of his bodily function. Sasuke is the only one on the team who had the required skills to advance to Chunin at this time and that I had arranged for him to work on his chakra control over the month with another Junin so that after the exams were over I could hopefully train him then and that at this time since there was nothing I could teach him that it would just be a waste of my time and I refused to waste my time teaching him something he couldn't use. At this point, the third was furious and exclaimed, I see. Tell me Kakashi, who did you assign to him? Ebisu. Kakashi said. The third person looked at him and replied, that is odd because Ebisu has been training my grandson every day this month. Did you introduce them to each other or tell them where to meet? Kakashi paused for a moment and replied, no, I figured Ebisu would track him down and because Naruto was causing a scene at the hospital and losing control of his anger I shushed him away so he could calm down. I then packed and met Sasuke at the gate and left until today. The third person questioned, then, who trained your student Kakashi? Kakashi replied, I guess he must have trained himself. No wonder he was so injured then. The third said, Kakashi, I am finding it very hard to control myself at this moment from snapping your neck for being a clusterfuck. You ask how Naruto did in the exams. Fine, I will tell you. When I was questioning him about where you were he was able to detect the Kazekage who was coming up the stairs was in fact an imposter and he informed me as such. He then walked off the cage box and Free fell to the floor but somehow when he hit he created a cage bunshin and hinged himself into either sand or a rock or something that no one in the stadium detected while his clone walked over and made several bold statements that earned the respect of civilians and ninja of Konoha but also made the Leaf Village look good in front of our VIPs. After that he began his match with Neji Hyuga and he played mind games with Neji enraging the Hyuga by insulting not only their honor but their bloodline as well as knocking Neji down several pegs that I am sure Hiyashi will be in here later today demanding Naruto head for but the Cage Bunshin then took a full 64 palm strike from Neji without being destroyed and then he proceeded to pick Neji up and literally bitch slap a message into his head while taking Jukin strikes to the head and body before he punched Neji away. As Neji was standing up the Cage Bunshin somehow took the chakra from Neji's strikes and turned itself into a Bunshin Bakuha that blew up throwing Neji into the wall knocking him out. Naruto then revealed himself and commented how even he wasn't stupid enough to fight a Hyuga head on. Kakashi was wide-eyed and the third said, After that things started to get interesting because Sasuke was not there. I had no choice but to give Gaara the win, and then Kankuro forfeited, which made Naruto, Shikamaru and Shino all three suspicious, and they talked about it, and Shikamaru forfeited so he could conserve chakra. This made it where Naruto and Gaara met in the next round. Because of the actions of those three, it caused a silent message to be sent to our forces in the stands, and they began to weaken the Sand Shinobi. Naruto decimated Gaara from the start of the match. He was able to figure out how to get Gaara's sand defense to work for him, and he was able to blow a hole in the wall right where the water pipes were, where he used the hidden mist jutsu to conceal himself from Gaara, and then based on the chakra usage of the attack, I would have to say it was an assassination jutsu. He was able to blow through all of Gaara's defense, wounding him. At that moment, Gaara released the demon sealed inside of him. With a gasp, Kakashi declared, "Gaara is a Jinchuriki." The third replied, "Yes, that started the battle between our forces, and Naruto used the rampaging demon to attack the fake Kazekage, who we believe was Orochimaru, neutralizing him for the battle, since after that the Kazekage and Orochimaru both were never seen again except for the discarded face of the Kazekage." Naruto then told me he would get Gaara away from the village by using himself as bait, and he flew. That's right, Naruto actually flew, and he attacked the demon head on and lead it to where you found us, where he defeated the demon in battle, but not without injury to himself, and he did it all without the aid of Kyuubi chakra. Quite impressive for someone who wasn't worth your time, huh, Kakashi? Kakashi winced and looked down, and the third said, "I have promoted Naruto to the rank of chunin along with Shikamaru and Shino. Without their actions the Leaf Village could very well have fallen today. You will not speak about the promotion to anyone, including your students. As of this moment I have taken Naruto off of Team 7 and he is temporarily under the apprenticeship of Jiraiya. One more thing you should know, somehow over the month Naruto not only trained himself, but he went to Wave Country to train, and he also learned who his father was. He won't tell me how he learned it, but all he wanted to know was who his mother was. I informed him and he is content for the time being, but your actions toward him have hurt him more than anything. If he loses his arm over this, he will most likely blame you, since he most likely feels you played favorites and left him alone like everyone else in this village did. The fact he knows you're his dad's student probably makes it worse. I will do what I can to ensure he does not do something that could become bad for everyone, but I want to know now, what all have you taught him since he has been on Team 7 along with you other two students? I want to know everything." Kakashi stated, "Teamwork and tree walking I taught to the entire team. I taught Sasuke Lee Taijutsu so he could use the Chidori correctly, which I also taught him. I taught him a few fire control exercises as well as wire traps to go with them." The third individual said, "So you taught Naruto and Sakura nothing?" Kakashi, get out of my sight before I kill you. I pray you have your affairs in order, because if Jiraiya finds out about this he will come for you. With a nod, Kakashi exits the office when the third flash through hand seals his desk and sets it on fire. The two clones yell, "Hey, we were done with all that paperwork." The third threw a kunai at them both, destroying them as he glared at them. Without waiting, Hiyashi knocked on the door and opened it to find the Sandame standing behind the burning desk. The third glared and slammed his fist into the wall behind it, creating a spiderweb, saying, "If this is about you whiny ass bitch of a nephew, shove it. I am not in the mood. Or would you like to be my sparring partner for the next few hours?" Pale, Hiyashi hurried off, saying, "It can wait. Have a good day, sir." After a few more moments of scowling, the third said, "If you value your life, come back tomorrow or I will summon the fucking Shinigami to take you in my soul." The door began to open again. After a swift closure of the door, the third person sat down in his chair and said, "Let it burn." Kakashi was walking through the village after leaving the Hokage office, completely stunned by everything he had heard, when he heard Sasuke's voice. With an angry expression on his face, Sasuke approached Kakashi and asked, "So what did you find out? Do I get another chance to become a chunin since the exams were cancelled?" Kakashi replied, "Actually, for embarrassing the village by not only missing your match but the entire exam you were going to be punished." "Why, I mean it was your fault we were late," scowled Sasuke. Kakashi responded, "That is true, but it was also your responsibility to keep up with the days as well, since it was your promotion at stakes. Now the Sandame has decided for your punishment to be that you will lose the chance to become a chunin for the next 2 years. You will also have to do 5D rank mission a week by yourself until the next chunin exams in 6 months. It will be your responsibility to make sure they are done, because if you don't do them your Sharingan will be sealed off." And Sasuke said, "You can't do that." Kakashi replied, "I have my own punishment, Sasuke, and it's not my decision, it was the Hokage's." Then he turned and began to leave, saying, "Then I will speak with the council. The Hokage is nothing but a figurehead anyways." Sasuke frowned and thought, "Maybe it's time I took Danzo up on his offer. He proved to me that day the Sandame is nothing but a figurehead and the real control of the village is in the council. That's it, the council." Sasuke, I think you are wrong about the Hokage being nothing but a figurehead, Kakashi said, blinking and thinking. Figurehead huh, not with the look he was ready to kill me with. I can't let him talk to the council and start a massacre. But you do understand that the council decided to punish you if you are correct that the Hokage is a figurehead. As he started to rub the curse seal, recalling Kabuto's words from the day in the hospital, Sasuke paused, and said, I guess you're right, I can't believe that they would actually threaten me though. Rewind, Kabuto said, as you can see, as he stood over the corpses of 4 Anbu and turned to face Sasuke in the bed. I am stronger than most people realize. Konoha will only hinder me, according to my master, and they are doing the same to you. They believe that you are too frail to murder your brother and exact revenge on your clan. He put his glowing hand on Sasuke's head, causing him to faint as he got ready for Kakashi. Watch. They're already holding you back. Why else give you the laziest sensei? There is who is always late, now rest. Put an end to the flashback as he scowled and watched Sasuke rub the curse seal. Kakashi blinked and asked, has he always been so conceited? He then quickly reasoned, it is probably because of all the VIP that were upset with you not showing up as well as the invasion. Right now, everyone is mad about that, and Konoha needs those VIPs to be satisfied so we can continue to be strong. Simply consider that you will become stronger by completing those D-rank missions and that you can become chunin without taking the test. What do you mean? I thought the exam were the only way to be promoted, Sasuke said, blinking and turning to face Kakashi. According to Kakashi, the exams are mostly advertisements for the different villages showing off their best gen. In truth is about half of the chunin in the village became chunin by excelling on missions and were promoted that way. Odds are that is what the Sandaime will do with you. He was right. Konoha is holding me back because they think I am too weak to kill him. You are the same, Kakashi. You purposely made me late so I could not be promoted and held back from getting stronger to kill him. I will play along for now. So, after a few minutes of reflection, Sasuke stopped rubbing the curse seal and said, fine, I don't like it, but you're right. He started to leave. Following his departure, Kakashi pondered, that seal is beginning to affect you mentally, Sasuke. I have to keep you calm until Jiraiya-sama returns and ask him to look at it. Perhaps my sealing method isn't strong enough to hold it back. While everyone in the village was trying to recover from the invasion that had occurred earlier in the day, nobody was aware of the journey that 2 different boys had begun today. But where will those boys' journey take them? Either to destruction or to fate. When Jiraiya and Naruto arrived in the gambling town of Hiko, it was already dark. After taking a moment to survey the town, Jiraiya took out a black notepad, skimmed a few pages, and then sent chakra to a page, where a key appeared. As Jiraiya led Naruto toward a room close to the red light district, they took a flight of stairs and arrived at room 219, and Jiraiya said gravely, I spend so much time on the road, I simply decided it would be easier to buy a hotel room in nearly every major town. It is cheaper and I don't have to worry about finding a room if there is something big going on in town the day I am there. Come. There was a king-size bed and a fold-up bed next to the closet when they entered the room. Jiraiya closed the door and took out 6 pieces of paper, placing one on each of the 4 walls, one on the ceiling, and one on the floor before he sent chakra into the final one. All of the papers glowed, and Jiraiya said, now this room is soundproof and nobody can hear us now. As I was saying in Konoha before you avoided my speech, once people find out you wearing armor, they are going to target it to get to you. You don't realize what exactly you gave up when you received that armor. Hell, I don't even know what you gained from it, but I bet it's not worth what you lost. Naruto looked at him and thought, I gained more than you know, Ero-sanin, and in his head Eva said, if you wish, Naruto, I can explain exactly what you now have under you control to Jiraiya, since you seem to trust him and he needs to know so he can train you properly. I only can do so much. After noticing that Jiraiya was preparing a lengthy speech, Naruto sighed and said, do it. Jiraiya turned to face him and asked, do what? Naruto's body briefly shimmered before odd light specks started to appear in the center of the space. For a moment, Jiraiya was defensive as all the shimmers came together. Then, a woman with brown hair that reached her mid-back and brown eyes appeared. Jiraiya looked at Naruto and then the woman, saying, hee, so what is this brat? The lady replied, I am Eva, the electronic virtual evader. I am a holographic image of my creator. If you have any questions about the prototype, I can answer them for you since my master has agreed to inform you. So, you're a hologram, right? Jiraiya said, dropping his perverted habit as he looked at her. Eva replied, yes, I am connected to Naruto as his direct interface to the prototype. Jiraiya turned to face Naruto, who approached, sat on the bed, then reclined and said, go ahead and ask her anything you want. I am going to get a little sleep. He covered his face with his good arm and closed his eyes in an attempt to fall asleep. After giving Naruto a quick glance, Jiraiya asked, okay, so tell me about this prototype, what it can and cannot do, and what the suit's long-term effects will be on Naruto. Another image appeared, and this time it was a floating version of the full armored suit that was slowly spinning in a circle. Eva responded, "This is the prototype suit created for the ninja of Snow Country, originally to help them protect their country. It is a combination of metallurgy and cybernetics. The metal of the suit is a new type of metal created by the creator of this prototype that was given the nickname the chakra metal. Chakra metal is metal that consumes chakra and stores it automatically for later use. Records indicate only 2 known productions of chakra metal were ever made: this suit and the Samahata sword, created as a gift to feudal lord of the Land of Mist and later stolen when he was assassinated." Eva said, "Now the main difference between normal armor and the prototype is that this armor is basically alive." Jiraiya nodded, and she looked at Naruto, who was already asleep, and blinked. With narrowed eyes, Jiraiya questioned, "What exactly do you mean alive?" Eva replied, "Exactly what I mean. Every inch of the suit is basically me. My creator created me to be a part of the ninja that I was given to. Like any living creature, I have the ability to heal myself over time. As long as I have chakra to do so, I absorb water to fuel my body, and like any wife, I help support my husband or partner." Naruto. According to Jiraiya, "You think like a human instead of a machine." Eva stated, "Because I was given a copy of my creator's memory with some minor editing to help me understand my functions and to help me learn to control my body." "I see. So what exactly does your body do?" Jiraiya said, narrowing his eyes once more. Eva replied, "As stated earlier, I have the ability to absorb chakra and store it in my suit to give to Naruto or to power the suit, as not to have to drain chakra from Naruto. I use this chakra to repair myself from any damage I receive, power my internal functions, as well as power my own brain functions." Jiraiya responded, "Besides protecting Naruto like normal armor and possibly give him a little chakra, what else can you do for him? So far I am not impressed." Eva replied, "You have seen already the cloaking ability to appear as if he is not wearing me. I purify his chakra, giving him better control of his chakra. I am able to allow him to fly, and I have several weapon features like the exploding Senbon launcher, several detection abilities including being able to pick up body heat through several levels, facial recognition software, being able to detect concealed objects or object underground through sonar sound waves, night vision, and rangefinder, as well as the hand thrust cannon, which allows the user to fire a concentrated burst of pure chakra at a distance. Because of the ability to absorb chakra and to give chakra to Naruto, no genjutsu can affect him, as I absorb the chakra that cast it, and should it somehow be strong enough to still reach him, I am sending small burst of chakra into his body to disrupt it." According to Jiraiya, "I see anything else?" Eva stated, "The suit is self-contained. It creates its own oxygen, so smoke, airborne poison or anything like that will not be able to affect him. While he is wearing the suit, he is also able to stay underwater as long as he has chakra." Jiraiya inquired, "How does the suit create its own air, and how can he stay under the water until he is out of chakra? Shouldn't it leak at the joints?" Eva replied, "No, because there is no joints. The suit, even though it is divided into sections, merge together when activated, making it completely sealed. As for how I make oxygen for him to breathe is part of why I absorb water. There are seals and filter systems built into the suit that allows the water I absorb into the seal to be used as a cooling agent for my body so it does not overheat. Water is slowly filtered to remove any harmful contaminants so Naruto can drink it without having to carry a canteen. There is a small layer of water completely in the suit that help to keep the suit exactly the same temp no matter how hot or cold it is outside of the suit. Some water is divided into its base elements and of hydrogen and oxygen. That oxygen is what he is able to breathe, while the hydrogen is made into fuel for the flight system in the boots." Jiraiya was actually impressed at this point and commented, "I can see how that would be usable to Snow Ninja. Keeping them from freezing to death in the cold, able to detect anyone who is trapped in the snow with your detection ability. In case a ninja fall under the ice into the water, they can survive until they get out. The ability to fly allows you to move quickly in water and to get to places quickly. The thrust cannon was to allow the ninja to blow a hole in the ice to escape, and the exploding Senbon needles are to weaken snowbanks for controlled avalanches to keep from having uncontrolled avalanches." Right. Eva replied, "Yes, those are the original plans by my creator." Jiraiya replied, "All right. I can see how that would be useful to Snow Ninja and could aid Naruto, but what I want to know is what effect will ninjutsu have on him?" Eva said, "Fire will try to heat up the suit temp to penetrate the suit, but the water in the suit will keep it cool while absorbing the chakra from it. As long as water is still inside the suit, water will be absorbed and filtered while still absorbing the chakra up to 5,000 gallons total. After that, the water is just hitting the suit like water hitting stone. Wind will be weakened by absorbing the chakra in it, and any damage done will slowly be repaired. Any section of the suit can stand up to 2000 psi worth of pressure before breaking. Where fire would first have to waste the water in the suit before it could start to actually heat it enough to burn through. Water would have to be condensed to increase the pressure over a long period of time on a specific spot in the suit before it could reach him. Wind attack would have to work on slowly cutting their way through the suit in a single spot to get through while it is being weakened by losing the chakra, making it that much harder to have enough pressure to cut that spot. Earth Jutsu, or the one true trouble for the suit Earth, would also start losing chakra that keeps it together, but if Spike's attacks were to hit a spot, it would be a matter of if it had enough force to penetrate the suit. Jiraiya inquired, "What about lightning?" Eva replied, "I would absorb the chakra like usual, however electricity does pose a danger to me, but not Naruto directly. Any electric attacks will instantly drop the stealth shield showing the actual armor, and if the charge is more than a stun level, the section of the armor will quit working for 60 seconds while the system reboots. The suit is designed for the protection of the person wearing it, and the thought of electrical attacks was concerned, so the water cooling system for the suit is another way of protecting the user. Any attack able to make connection with the suit would be absorbed by the water and channeled to the feet, where it can be harmlessly passed into the ground without harming the user." Jiraiya responded, "What about an electrical attack that hits the entire suit?" Eva stated, "The suit would be frozen from the attack for 60 seconds while I am reset. The suit would still protect him from the electricity, but he won't be able to move." After giving it some thought, Jiraiya posed the question, "What about assassination jutsu like the Rasengan and the Chidori?" Eva waited a while and said, "I have no data on those jutsu. I was tested with a few C and B rank jutsu of all 5 elements that Ninja of Snow knew, and thus is how I am aware of the effects." Jiraiya replied, "Well, not bad. I guess you have a lot of little surprises that would aid a person. However, I do see several things that make you a handicap. One is the loss of mobility and speed." Eva replied, "Actually, besides the initial loss of speed from getting used to me as he has already done, then there is none. I was designed so my weight would not crack the ice or snowbanks, so I am actually very lightweight, with my weight only being 60 pounds total. As for the loss of mobility, as I told you, when the entire suit is used it merges together to make it one body. This was done so not to leave any openings, kinks, or weak spots in the suit, and in the process actually increases a user's mobility by 10%. This is possible because I am linked to Naruto brain and I receive the same signals his body does, so as his body moves the suit moves with him." Jiraiya touched his chin and said, "I see. I have to admit, whoever created you was a genius at thinking of all possibilities. However, there are other things that hurt Naruto. I noticed that he does not carry shurikens or kunais since he has the senbons. The main thing that worries me is that now he has no actual close range protection from taijutsu and kenjutsu as he would have with a kunai." Eva responded, "That is because Naruto does not know any close range weapons besides the kunai. I understand what you are saying, that even with me he is still possibly vulnerable. However, what you fail to realize is that I am upgradable. I was originally designed to be customized to my user. If my user knew kenjutsu, instead of carrying a sword with you at any time, you could use the chakra saber or the chakra scythe. I have both devices stored in me currently, but until Naruto actually learns to use a sword or scythe, then they could cause him to hurt himself just as easily as not, which is why I have not gave him those yet. No kunai can get through my armor to him, and as for taijutsu users, Naruto taijutsu level is far below that it should be currently. However, once he improves with my protection, he will easily be considered high chunin to low junin, just because it would take so much work to actually make contact with him." Jiraiya nodded his head and replied, "I have seen taijutsu masters break through armor like tinfoil, and while I admit that you do give him better protection than anything else, he will have to improve if he wants to live. Though I do have a question. If you were able to protect Naruto as well as you claim, then why was his arm hurt so severely?" Eva replied, "Oh, that is simple. Naruto ordered me to direct all power into one attack to stop Shukaku. When he did, I deactivated the safety shock absorbers in his arm that would have reduced the kickback from the thrust cannon to make it feel like he punched a wall instead of breaking the bones in his arm." Jiraiya's sweat dropped and said, "Wait, you mean he is hurt because that idiot first he foolishly trusts a total stranger which could have been an enemy, then he goes into combat with a new weapon that he does not properly understand how to use. That's it. When he is healed, I am so kicking his ass." Eva responded, "Question, do you know anything about human anatomy?" Jiraiya paused his tirade and uttered the words, "A little. Why?" As you can see, the sections in pink are the sections that are nearly healed already thanks to his healing ability, but if you look at the red section you will see the reason he is actually in so much pain. Eva said as the image of the armor vanished and was replaced by another image of an arm that zoomed in to reveal the bones inside. "I can see all, but that is nearly healed, but I do not know what we can do about that. Is this accurate?" Jiraiya scowled as he examined the hologram. "As of 4 minutes ago, yes," Eva replied. Jiraiya examined the arm and responded, "It appears that the radius and the ulnar broke about 2 inches below the elbow and that about an inch of both bones were pulverized into dust. Is it healing?" Eva replied, "No, it seems his body cannot figure out what exactly is wrong there and how to fix it." Jiraiya replied, I see. I don't know what we can do for him. For now let him sleep. I am going to seal him into this room while I go out and see if I can gather any info on Tsunade location. Do not let him leave this room for anything and do not let anyone in. Is there anything else you can think of I should know? Jiraiya said, good, then let the boy rest and I will see you both later. Eva shook her head no, and he sealed the room by putting a seal tag on the outside door and all the windows before leaving. When Naruto woke up the following morning, he noticed Jiraiya holding his head while seated at a small table. What's wrong with you? Naruto asked. Jiraiya glanced over at him and replied, I have a hangover, but I found out some info after you fell asleep last night. Tsunade was here about 2 months ago. She went to a town 2 days travel from here. We will be heading there next to see if we can find her trail. So what am I supposed to do besides sleep in the hotel rooms? Naruto asked, nodding. Jiraiya replied, I got one of your father's jutsu you can learn while we travel. I got you a scroll full of water balloons ready to learn it. Incredulous, Naruto blinked and questioned, water balloons? Yeah, water balloons. Watch. Jiraiya held up a water balloon, which began to bubble before bursting. What you have to do is use your chakra to move the water inside it until it explodes. That is all the clue I can give you because you will have to figure out the secret yourself. This is just the first step though. Don't get upset if you can't do it quickly though, because it took your dad 3 years to make it and a year for me to learn it, he said. Naruto inquired, what is the jutsu supposed to do when I learn all the steps and how many are there? Jiraiya held up his hand once more and created a flawless Rasengan, saying, there are 3 steps and it's called the Rasengan. Nods and says, well, let's eat and get on the road. I feel better now that I got some sleep though my arm still hurts. Jiraiya replied, from the display Eva showed me last night your arm won't heal on its own. You're going to have to see someone about it. You were stupid to cause Eva to shut off the safety devices in that suit when you told her to use all power for one attack. That is why your arm is screwed up. Naruto took a breath and replied, I know already. She explained it to me on the way here yesterday. Let's eat. I am hungry. Jiraiya nods, and while Naruto worked on the Rasengan first stage, they left to eat breakfast before starting to move toward the next town Tsunade was going toward. After 2 days gazing at the water balloon he was holding, Naruto scowled. He thought, stupid Ero Sanin. How does he expect me to be able to pop this balloon when all I can do is make the balloon go nearly flat? As he glanced at the hotel room he was in. Stupid balloon, I just want to rip it apart into millions of tiny wait a moment. Naruto moaned as his most recent attempt to pop it failed and he fell back on the bed. He then looked at the ceiling and said, Eva, did you record the balloon exploding from Ero Sanin demonstration? He then sat up and looked at the ball. Yes, Eva replied with a sly smile. Naruto said, good, show it to me please. Jiraiya said, now watch closely. As he held up the balloon, which started to bubble in various places and burst when the tiny hologram particles appeared. Naruto replied, do it again Eva, just the part where he is actually using it again. Looking at the ball in his hand, he said, Eva, can you edit this any? As he drew closer and traced the holographic balloon's bumps, thinking, there are multiple bumps appearing all over the balloon in a pattern at the same time and it did not go flat. Could those multiple bumps be different rotations? According to Eva, I can try, Naruto replied, okay, this scene where the bumps are appearing. Start with this bump here and see if you can track the direction the rotation is going with that bump. Make another hologram of it but change the color of each bump and show it moving. Can you do that? Eva stated, using thermal heat sensors and sonic waves I should be able to give an example of what is happening, though it may have an error of 40%. That's okay, just do what you can, Naruto said. So there are at least 10 currents based on the info you show me, not the one like I thought it was. Thanks Eva. I think you just helped me figure it out, Naruto said, observing the balloon as another ball appeared. Before returning to his work and experimenting with various rotations, the balloon exploded after the 5th rotation, and Naruto exclaimed, yes, let's see if I can get it to all 10 like Ero Sanin. 4 hours later, Naruto moaned as he attempted to flex his hand but it was too tender. He thought, well, that's it for now, my hand is just about burned out. I am hungry also. Stupid Ero Sanin making me stay in the hotel room all day. I wonder if they do room service here. He began going through all the drawers and discovered a small book with the hotel's name in it. He read it, then walked over to the phone, picked it up, and said, according to this I just press the blue button on the bottom and then type in the number for the item I want. There is no ramen but this looks good. He typed the number and hung up. About 20 minutes after he had reclined on the bed, there was a knock on the door. Naruto went to answer it and said, who is it? The voice of a man said, room service. The door was unlocked. Naruto grinned to himself, opened it, blinked, and uttered the words, I don't remember ordering sushi. Naruto saw a picture of the man in his mind, and he heard Eva say, "Kisame Hoshigaki, the monster of the mist, former member of the Seven Swordsmen. S-rank missing nin carries the Samahata that he took after killing the previous owner." After glancing at the other individual, Naruto thought, "Sasuke no, too old." Eva said as a different image appeared. "Uchiha Itachi, former Anbu captain, S-rank missing ninja from Konoha killed the entire Uchiha clan except his younger brother Sasuke. Beware of the Sharingan." Kisame replied, "Everyone's a critic, can I cut off his legs Itachi, we don't need them." Looking directly into Naruto's eyes, Itachi said, "Please leave the room and join us, Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto responded, "And why would I want to go with a pair of S-rank missing nins, and what do you want from me?" Strange, Itachi thought, why did the force hypnosis fail? "Eva, have you got any escape plans because I know I can't beat both of these guys?" Naruto asked, his gaze darting around the room. As he reached for Naruto's arm, Kisame remarked, "Looks like you're losing your touch, Itachi. Alright, kid, let's go, I don't have all day." When Naruto jerked his right arm back and said, "Don't touch me," a senbon needle struck the ground in the center of Kisame and Itachi, and the flooring exploded, pushing the two men away. Naruto turned abruptly and threw 3 senbons at the window's wall, causing it to explode and leave a huge hole in it. He then ran and leapt out of the window. Regaining his footing, Kisame snatched up his sword and questioned, "What the fuck was that?" "Looks like we underestimated him," Itachi said when 10 senbon needles flew into the room from the roof across the way. He leapt into the room where Naruto had been and ran toward the new door Naruto had made. "Come. We must hurry because these explosions will surely attract Jiraiya," he said. When Itachi notices this, he swiftly switches places with the mattress, and the needles burst, scattering smoking feathers throughout the space. "Where the hell is he getting all these exploding notes?" Kisame asked as she entered the room. "It's not notes," Itachi stated. "The senbon needles are exploding. It seems that our knowledge of him is incomplete. Come." Kisame followed him as he leapt out the window and headed toward the roof across the street from where Naruto had been just moments earlier. Looking back as he ran across the roof, Naruto saw the two catching him. "Come on, Ero Sanin. Where are you?" he thought as he jumped over the trash cans and threw a senbon into the alley. Another explosion struck the roof where Naruto was standing, and as Kisame and Itachi approached, he charged through it only to be surrounded by Jiraiya's arm, which caused him to gasp at his throat. Naruto, who was standing behind Jiraiya, pointed his right arm at Kisame, and a senbon needle shot from it. Itachi then replaced Kisame with a rain gutter, and Itachi landed next to Kisame and uttered, "Come, we can't win this fight," as he began to flee. When Kisame fell from Jiraiya's surprise attack, his sword slid away, and Jiraiya, who was staring at him, almost failed to duck, dragging Naruto with him as the Samahata was thrown from behind them by an Itachi cage bunshin that went up in smoke. Kisame screamed, "But what about my sword?" Jiraiya sighed as Naruto uttered, "What the hell were Kisame and Itachi, a pair of S-rank missing nin, coming after me for, and where were you?" Kisame smirked and leapt away. "How did you know who they were and their rank?" Jiraiya inquired as he turned to face Naruto. He said, "I never heard them say their name aside from Kisame saying Itachi, and you called them by their rank." "Eva showed me who they were, and wait, you were there," Naruto said, rubbing his head. "I might have died. Why did you fail to appear?" "A ninja must know when to strike a kid," Jiraiya remarked before attacking. "I waited for the ideal opportunity." "How was Eva aware of their identities?" "According to her, when I was still unconscious, the guy who gave her to me tested her memory program by having her scan the bingo book, and she recognized him thanks to her facial recognition ability," Naruto said. Hearing Eva in his mind, she claimed that all she needs to search for people is a photo to scan. After giving it some thought, Jiraiya took out a picture of Tsunade and said, "This is the woman we're looking for." Tsunade scanned it. "By the way, nice job escaping and phoning for assistance." He leapt away, and Naruto followed, flinching as his arm jerked. "Come on, I got a lead on Tsunade. A few days travel from here." Time lapse. 3 days have passed since the attack on the village of Konoha, and thanks to the quick stop of the attacking force and the presence of ninja in the stadium to assist in defending the village, the recovery was almost finished. Sakura Haruno thought, "It's unbelievable that we were attacked in such a manner," and headed toward the bridge where Team 7 always met after receiving a message that she would be meeting them today. The damage was minimal, at least after forcing all of us genin to assemble in the damaged area. The chunin there gave us instructions. I wonder how Naruto and Sasuke-kun are doing. She paused on the bridge and glanced around. "I haven't seen Sasuke-kun since the preliminary round, and I haven't seen Naruto since the exams." After a few minutes, Sakura said, "Hello Sasuke-kun," and Sasuke glared at her as he approached with his hands in his pockets. "How are you today?" Sasuke simply humped and turned his head away. 5 minutes later, they both heard footsteps and turned to face the source, blinking, and Sakura said, "Hey, it's you, Tenten, right?" Tenten said, "Yes," as she approached in her everyday clothes. "That's me," she said, crossing her chest and huffing. A puff of smoke appeared before anyone could speak, and Kakashi was seen standing there, saying, "Yo." Sakura exclaimed, "Kakashi-sensei, you're on time," with a gape. With a drop of perspiration, Kakashi said, "I can be on time." With a blink, Sakura said, "Not according to Gai-sensei," Tenten responded. "Oh," said Kakashi, "you must be Tenten, our stopgap substitute." "That's what Gai-sensei said." Tenten sighed. "He informed me that Gai-sensei could perform chunin missions and that it would be simpler to join your team for the time being because you only have one person lacking and our team is short by 2 due to Lee's injury and Neji's explosion-related eye flash burns." Sakura looked at Kakashi and said, "Kakashi-sensei, what about Naruto and what is this temporary stuff?" The 3 genin turned to face Kakashi, who stated, "Naruto is on a mission right now. I have no idea when he will come back." "Why does the Dobi get a mission and we didn't?" inquired Sasuke. "You would have to ask the Hokage, Sasuke." Kakashi said, "There will be no missions this afternoon because it is the funeral for everyone who lost their lives in the attack. Why don't the 3 of you spend the remainder of today getting to know one another in order to work as a team? We'll begin missions tomorrow." As he departed in a flurry of leaves, he said, "I have gate duty for now." Sakura looked at Tenten and Sasuke and said, "Sasuke-kun, wait, don't you want to get to know Tenten?" As Sasuke kept walking away, Sakura scowled and said, "I'm sorry about this Tenten, but I haven't seen him since the preliminaries. It was the last time she had seen him. I'd like to check on him." Tenten said, "I guess," and thought, "I can't believe I am saying this, but I miss Gai-sensei. Can we meet later to get to know each other? The Wolf Claw weapon shop is owned by my family. I'm going to spend some time training here before going home, which is above the gun store." "Did you ever figure out how Naruto was able to launch those senbons?" Sakura asked, nodding. "No," Tenten replied. "All right, I was just wondering," Sakura said as she chased after Sasuke. She said, "I'll see you later." After she left, Tenten sighed and started practicing her target technique while surveying the clearing. A few hours later, while she was assembling her weapons, she blinked and glanced at the back of a tree, where someone had engraved something, and she read, "In my eyes, Haku Momochi, the adopted son of Zabuza Momochi, will always be a hero, even if he was an adversary. I, Naruto Uzumaki, offer you the award that comes the closest to being recognized as a village hero. It is because of you that I have discovered that true strength is found in defending what is most important to you. My friend, may you rest in peace." As Tenten put it, strange but nice. After 2 weeks, Naruto asked, "So how many steps are there to this Ero Sanin?" while examining the rubber ball in his hand. "You'll know when you're done," Jiraiya said. "Now, be aware, according to my contacts in the previous village, Tsunade was spotted traveling in this direction 2 days ago. Ask Eva to use her face to see if she can locate her in the crowds in the photo I showed you." Naruto replied, "Yes, indeed, since you discovered she was capable of doing that, it has been the same in every town we have been to," he said, glancing at the rubber ball he was holding. "I'm just testing your skills, kid," Jiraiya said. "It's really helpful to have the entire bingo book scanned into memory for quick access. You have to admit we received that bounty in the last town for the man in the bar where we stopped for a drink. Because of it I never thought a B-rank missing nin could be someone who looked so like shit." Naruto replied, "You're just upset that Eva found him when you were sitting right next to him and could not tell who he was." Ignoring the remark, Jiraiya said, "Come, let's find her." As they arrived in the town and started searching for Tsunade, Naruto uttered the words, "Whatever Ero Sanin." After searching for them for about an hour, Naruto heard a voice say, "Tsunade-sama, we should quit while you're ahead." Naruto turned to face a woman wearing a green jacket with the kanji for "sucker" on the back, and he said, "Oi, Ero Sanin, is that her?" As he approached her, Jiraiya said, "It's been a while, Tsunade." "Yeah, that's her, come." Tsunade had just pulled the handle on that tilt slot machine. With a groan, Tsunade glanced over her shoulder and remarked, "I now understand why I was winning in any case. The answer is no." "Good one, Tsunadeheim. Well, you see the thing is," Jiraiya chuckled. "Good one, Tsunadeheim. Well, you see the thing is," Jiraiya chuckled. "Look, I washed my hands with Konoha a long time ago, and of anything that reminds me of it," Tsunade said. Turning in her chair and grabbing Jiraiya by the front of his shirt to lift him off the ground, she pushed him away, and he struck the wall 20 feet away, saying, "Just leave me alone." "Then what are you doing traveling with a Konoha nin, huh?" Naruto asked. glancing first at Tsunade and then at the girl beside her. What is she doing with you if you washed your hands of Konoha? He thought. Jiraiya claims that Shizune was Tsunade's official apprentice, which means she was a Konoha nin. When Tsunade winced, Shizune remarked, I am Tsunade apprentice. According to the rules of the Leaf Village, you are assuming the responsibilities of a Konoha shinobi. Naruto stated, what rank do you hold? Shizune looked at Tsunade and winced at Naruto's words, saying, I. The question Tsunade posed was, what rank are you and who the hell are you Gaki? As Naruto put it, Naruto Uzumaki, chunin of Konoha. Tsunade replied, and I am a Sannin and Shizune has traveling rights as my apprentice, so don't even think about finishing your argument. Naruto replied, as long as you are a loyal Konoha shinobi and if you refuse to return to Konoha under the orders of the Sandaime who sent us makes you a missing nin, and thus if your assistant also refuses makes her one as well. Getting back up, Jiraiya remarked, that's enough Naruto. What's enough? Said Naruto. After Orochimaru and his army, along with Suna's army, attacked Konoha, we encountered two S-rank missing nins on our way to locate the old hag here. The old man sent for her, and she. As she let loose some ki, Tsunade clenched her fist and questioned, what the hell did you call me Gaki? Naruto sensed it and dismissed it by saying, please, Zabuza and Orochimaru both had more ki than that and Shukaku had more than both them, so yours doesn't affect me, and as for the old hag part, you look like one with all those wrinkles. Tsunade rubbed her face and exclaimed, what wrinkles? As the other three people there gasped. The ones you have on your hands and face, Naruto said as he heard Eva mention that Tsunade had genjutsu. He said, genjutsu doesn't work on me. As Jiraiya pondered, so that suit can even penetrate Tsunade genjutsu. So what if you see what I really look like? Tsunade said, crossing her arms and giving Naruto a fierce look. Chunin, I'm still a Sannin. All I see is an old drunk who allows her past to control her, Naruto remarked. According to the bingo book, you left Konoha with the vow that you would never return after your brother and fiancé copyright died in the war. You may have once been a great Sannin, but all I see is an elderly, shabby man who has a huge gambling addiction, drinks too much sake, and, as a punch struck him in the head, sending him flying back 20 feet through a wall. Tsunade lowered her fist as Jiraiya screamed, Naruto, as he began to move. To everyone's surprise, Naruto entered and replied, damn, Sakura punches harder than you do Granny, and she's a weak fangirl, and here I expected more from a Sannin, but I guess you were the weaker of the three then, because I fought Orochimaru before, so I know how tough he is, and I can beat Ero Sannin here with a single jutsu just like I beat the old man. So tell me, what does it feel like to be a weakling? Jiraiya reasoned that he was unharmed because the suit must have absorbed the majority of the chakra from Tsunade's punch. Tsunade is losing it, so be careful, kid. This kid is just as much of an idiot as your last student Jiraiya, Tsunade remarked, squinting her eyes. Since you were never born with them, it's possible that no one ever gave you any either, but at least my father had the courage to defend what was valuable to him. Naruto remarked, perhaps your boobs are so sagging and your body is so old that you were never able to attract anyone after your fiancé copyright. He must have been sympathetic to you. Jiraiya was wide-eyed and thought, oh fuck kid, you just had to go there, didn't you? As Tsunade flushed. As she charged at Naruto, Tsunade uttered the words, that's it kid, you're dead, talk bad about me all you want but don't you ever speak about Dan like that. With Tsunade pursuing him, Naruto snorts, leaps back, and glides out of the hole in the wall he previously entered. Jiraiya grabbed Shizune's shoulder, shook her head, and said, don't worry, the kid can take the punishment he's about to receive, and his left arm is broken so he can't really use any jutsu, so he can't hurt her. Shizune was startled and began to run after them. But, said Shizune, come on, but let this play out. Jiraiya said, I thought, I hope, and wondered if this would work out. Tsunade remarked, finally decided to quit running Gaki, as Naruto led her out of the village and stopped in the field after gliding backwards 50 feet in front of her. No, unlike you, I don't like to see others suffer because they're caught in the middle, Naruto remarked. You old hag, you attacked Jiraiya and me for simply speaking, and you don't give a damn about who was harmed in the process. Maybe because you didn't care, your family is all dead now. Tsunade screamed, you don't know, as she froze and saw blood streaming down Naruto's left arm from piercing the wall, along with an inch of wood protruding from it. Naruto saw her freeze, blinked, looked around, and followed her eyes, thinking, my blood, what made her freeze? He raised his arm, which had a trail of blood running down it, and approached her, observing her growing frightened as she fell backwards and attempted to scoot back. So the sight of blood makes her freeze must be because of what happened during the war. Naruto scowled when Gigi talked about the difficult battles he had fought as a child. He always had those distant expressions in his eyes. Come on Ero Sanin, I was wrong. She's not a coward, but she's useless to anyone no, Naruto said as he turned to face Jiraiya and Shizune as they arrived. She cannot heal anyone and will never be able to be Hokage if a small amount of blood from a scratch causes her to freeze. She lacks the willpower to defend herself, let alone the things that are important to her. Since true strength comes from defending what is valuable to you, she lacks the strength to be Hokage. In order to be a Hokage, one must value Konoha above all else and be prepared to risk their life in order to preserve it. To ensure that their loved ones back home can live on in their honor, a person who cannot bear the sight of blood cannot send someone to fight and possibly die in battle. She never realized why her brother and fiancé copyright had given their lives for it. They wanted to be Hokage, you told me, so they knew they had to risk their lives to defend what was important to them. They died so she wouldn't because they valued her in order to protect Konoha and me. My father also sacrificed his life to seal Kyuubi into me even though my life was terrible. I now accept that and understand why I made Jinchuriki since becoming Hokage is my dream. I will put myself in danger to safeguard what I value most. I promise you that I will become Hokage one day, and I never break my word. That's my ninja way, he said as he turned to leave. Jiraiya asked, where are you going, Gaki? After glancing at him. Home, said Naruto. The Sannin Tsunade passed away a long time ago, so the mission was a failure. An elderly woman lost in her past is all that remains. We all lose people we care about. Gigi lost his son and wife, and you lost my father, who was like a son to you. I lost both of my parents before I had a chance to meet them, but at least Gigi and I will always be remembered. Perhaps that's why you spent so much time away, as you never truly moved on from Tsunade's death. I'm not sure, but it appears that she is not the individual we were searching for. She no longer has the will to live, much less the will of fire. If she is incapable of healing herself, how will she ever be able to heal my arm? I'm going to grab some food and go to bed now that I have the hotel room key. We can return home tomorrow, he said as he turned to leave. As she felt Tsunade trembling, Shizune, who was holding her by her side, thought, he is so much like my uncle Tsunade, as she watched Naruto go. With a sigh, Jiraiya took out a scroll, opened a deck of cards and some sake, and sat down across from Tsunade. Go on, Shizune. Get something to eat, she said as he dealt the cards. He said, I'll stay with her. Tsunade reached for the sake slowly after Shizune glanced at him, and Shizune sighed as she slowly got up and started to return to town. While in town, Naruto reflected, so what now, Eva? Tsunade is unable to heal my arm, and both Gigi and Ero Sanin stated that she was the only one capable of doing so. My career is over without my arm, and I'm at a loss for what to do. Based on the information I currently have based on the scans of your body before and after the injury as well as comparing that to that of your right arm, the broken bone will never be able to be healed because your body does not have the necessary material or information on how to recreate an entire missing section of bone. Much less two, Eva said after remaining silent for a few minutes until a picture of his arm's bones appeared in Naruto's HUD. The replacement with a compatible component is the only theory I can think of. Naruto was thinking, but what can be a replacement part for a bone besides another bone, and if so, how can it be done? Based on the current information, I believe that transferring the shock adapters to your arm from the suit could repair your arm. But this operation only has a 42% chance of succeeding, and the chance of you either going into shock from the pain resulting in you dying from the blood loss, or virus infection after the process was completed, Eva said, turning the bone in his vision horizontal and displaying two pieces that appeared to be springs with metal couplers highlighted before being removed. You no longer have trace amounts of Kyuubi chakra coursing through your body to counteract the poison or infections, unlike when the demon brothers poisoned you. Although you are immune to any poisons your body has already been infected with and any viruses you have come into contact with, you still have an advanced metabolism and healing factor from adjusting to the Kyuubi chakra. However, you will still have to fight off common infections like everyone else, which increases your risk of dying from this process because the type of virus you are most likely to come into contact with is one that causes limb loss or death. Are there any other alternatives? Naruto asked himself as he paused. Eva replied, at this moment, with the exception of some form of medical treatment from Tsunade with the knowledge of basic human anatomy and your own body, I can find no other alternative. After biting his lip and surveying his surroundings, Naruto asked himself, can you show me the process as it is happening, just like you did for the Rasengan? If you plan to perform this operation yourself, the chance of survival drops to less than 10% because all I can do is demonstrate the process, Eva said after a few seconds of silence. If you faint from pain or blood loss, I won't be able to help. I understand, Naruto said, glancing up at the sky. Please show me a list of everything I will need to do this. Naruto turned to face a man with a small booth arrangement who said, well, all you got to do is follow the ball, kid, and you win if you can pick the cup that has the ball in it. Huh, said Naruto. Didn't you just ask how to do this? The man asked. Then Naruto said, yeah, show me how to play real quick please. Just choose the right cup and win if you pay to play, the man said, pointing to a ball beneath the middle cup of 7 cups as he began to move them. Eva then pointed to the cup as he displayed the cup Eva highlighted. He said, 3 to 1 odds, kid, you be 5 and win you get 15, get it? As he extracted his frog wallet from his sleeve pocket on his broken arm, Naruto replied, sure. The man then remarked, funny place to put your money. Seems like you're my kind of player, an all or nothing type, huh? Let's see 500, Naruto said, adding, I guess we should start over and I'll put all my money on the game. Okay, kid, you win and I pay you 1500, so either way one of us will have 2000, but I won't have enough to play another game after that for today, so you sure you want to play? Sure. Naruto replied as Eva tracked the right cup. The man placed the 500 from Naruto and the 1500 together, showed the ball, and moved more quickly this time. When he was done, Naruto pointed to the right cup, and the man said, guess luck is on your side today, kid, CYA around. He then gave Naruto the money after demonstrating that Naruto had won. However, Naruto admitted, I feel bad about winning though. As a tiny slot appeared beneath one of the circles in the table where the cup goes, the man laughed and said, trust me, kid, I am glad you actually won. You see, I haven't always been a trustworthy dealer. If you were one of the snobbish nobles or a dickhead, I would have cheated your ass like this. According to Naruto, I see, so why tell me? The individual replied, I know you cheated somehow, I don't know how, but your eyes never bothered to track the cup, so you had some way of knowing. I've done this for a long time, kid, and anyone who can cheat me deserves to win. Naruto appeared sheepish as the man replied, relax, everyone cheats at gambling one way or another, either with dirty deals, tricked dice, marked cards, or even food and liquor. It all comes down to who is better at it. With his eyes narrowed, Naruto questioned, how can you cheat with food or liquor? The man said, several ways actually. 1. The waitress who comes with the items can either have a shiny tray to show the others your cards, looks at your cards while setting the items down and signaling a dealer or another player. Or the best way is make you enjoy yourself while gambling. People who are drunk spend more than they realize in. Don't pay as much attention, and good food will make you hungry, so you will want another bite of it while it is hot before it gets cold to distract you from the game, and you don't mind losing a few hands that you would have won normally because you're happy. And the thing the casino get their money back if you win is when you tell others how you won. They come hoping to win and try the good food and drinks, giving the house more chances win back what they lost plus more. Entertainment's the same way. Draw you there to spend your money and treat you special, and you will act like a king spending more than you normally would, and soon you broke and the house wins. It's all cheating, but in the end it all comes down to who is better at it. You ever play me again or anyone else with my game, be sure to follow with your eyes so they think you an easy mark, and remember to watch for traps, CYA, kid. As he turned with his fold-up table and left. It made Naruto think. I see, Eva replied, though next time I won't help you cheat unless there is a reason. I do not know how much it will cost to get the items we need, so I helped where I could since you hurt because of me. Naruto believed. No, Eva, it was my fault for not understanding what I ordered you to do so I could save Gaara. If I lose my arm, I don't blame you. Everyone was right about me. I am an idiot who rushes into things without thinking. When Naruto felt someone touch his left arm, he sighed and turned to see Shizune, who had her eyes narrowed. How come you did not feel me touch you until I touched your broken arm? He asked, as Eva remained silent. Naruto replied, I have my reasons. Can I help you with something? Shizune slapped him, winced as her hand struck his face, and said, your face feels like metal. Shizune replied, yes. Naruto replied, you think, how else do you think I survived that punch from the old hag? Shizune sighed. You really should not have said that to her. You don't know what she has been through in her life. The death of her brother and my uncle hurt her worse than any kunai wound. Naruto narrowed his eyes and said, actually I think I know exactly what she'd been through. I know the pain of losing someone you care about. I lost someone who I wish could have been my brother. I know what it is like to have no one in your life to comfort you. She has you by her side, but she doesn't even realize the pain she is causing you by being the way she is. I may be an idiot, but I can read people's eyes better than anyone, and I see the way you look at her. I know you care for her for some reason, but I also see it causes you pain, regret, pity. When was the last time you did something for yourself? When was the last time you actually had a smile on your face or felt you made a difference in the world? Your eyes should have little crow's feet beside them from laughing and smiling, but all I see is the beginning of wrinkles, and you're only what? 10 years older than me, if even that. You're too young to have wrinkles. You should be turning heads, breaking hearts, and having a life and family. Not being dragged down by your only connection to your dead family. Do you think that your uncle would want either you or her to spend your life the way you're, or do you think he would want you to spend your life telling your children and grandchildren about the amazing man he was? If you think I hate Tsunade or you, then you're wrong. I just pity you both, because to me you both represent what I could have become if I never would have met Haku. Now, if you will excuse me, I have some stuff to do. As he walked by her and began to walk through the town looking at the stores, but stops and said over his shoulder, "Just remember, Shizune. Tsunade not going to live forever. Nobody does. What will you do when she's gone and you're too old to start to live? I hope you find what you're looking for." Shizune was thinking to herself, how can he know how I feel in my heart, having never met me before? I know Uncle Dan would be sad with the way Tsunade and I live, and I know I want to start a family after finding someone to love, but I can't just leave Tsunade in her darkness alone. What should I do? After 2 hours, Naruto unlocked the hotel room door, shut it, and placed the bag on the table. He sighed as Eva showed up and started to unpack the bag on the table before going into the bathroom to gather all the towels and fill the metal ice bucket with hot water before returning to the table. As the water started to heat up, he placed the ice bucket on top of a chemical burner that he had placed on the table with a tiny bottle of kerosene. His next thought was, good thing hunting is popular here and they had a bone saw to cut the bones in the animals. He unpacked a number of knives and a bone saw blade and submerged them in the water. After setting the towels on the table and dragging the other table toward the one he had everything on, he retreated to the bedside and said, "Okay Eva, let's get those 2 pieces. As you can see, this is the safety shock absorber to help protect your arm from the damage of the thrust cannon," Eva said, nodding. The armor appeared on Naruto's left arm, and he winced as he felt the weight of it. He placed the arm in his lap, and Eva said, "Just follow my lead." She then showed him a holographic screwdriver that Naruto had, and a small compartment opened on the left side of the arm. "I believe these will be the parts that will work to repair your arms. Are you sure you wish to continue, or perhaps ask Tsunade or Shizune to do this?" Naruto looked at him and replied, "No. Tsunade can't do it because she will freeze from the blood, and Shizune won't do it because she cares too much for Tsunade. You can't save those who don't want to be saved, and they can't save others when they themselves are trapped. I realized when I got you, Eva, that I have to rely on myself and you. I can't be protected all my life. I will fix my arm and I will get stronger. I will learn to use you right, and I will show the person who gave you to me that their trust was not wrong. Nobody ever believed in me before like he did. Not even Gigi. I don't know where I would be without you now in my life, but I am thankful for you." And thought, at least I won't be alone again with nobody who cares for me. As she showed him how to remove the 2 pieces, Eva listened to his thoughts, scowled, and said, "Very well, do as I do and we can get the parts out within 20 minutes, and by that time the blades should be sterile so we can begin." "What about the armor?" asked Naruto after Eva had finished sealing the armor back into the seals on his arm. Eva replied, "It will take 24 hours to replace pieces." Naruto inquired, "Exactly how does you do that?" Eva continued, "This suit is filled with nanite technology. Billions of little machines that are each designed to fulfill one purpose, each repair and replace a section of the armor as you walk. Seals in the shoes absorb the mineral in the dirt, storing them in separate seals. Then as the suit is powered, they are converted into new nanites, who are then stored in parts of the suit to wait for a section of the suit to need repaired. When that happens, they will go to the area that is damaged and replace that section." With a wrinkled nose, Naruto uttered, "So these little machines repair the suit themselves?" Eva replied, "Yes, though the more damage you receive the longer it will take to repair the section of the suit. To completely replace one piece takes 24 hours. To replace an entire section like the entire arm, if completely destroyed, would take 72 hours. If more than one section is destroyed, then it will take even longer." After giving it some thought, Naruto pondered, what would happen if the entire suit was destroyed? The armor vanished from his body and he noticed the blue power cell. Eva walked over and touched it with her finger and said, "Do you see this? This is me. I am connected to you inside of there, connected to your chakra network in your spine, which is how I am able to hear your thoughts. I am also designed with the same technology as the suit. If the entire suit was destroyed but this remains, I could replace the suit in 3 months. However, if that is destroyed, then it won't matter because I will be dead, and so will you. We are one, Naruto. I am a part of you just as you are a part of me, in a sense I am your heart and you are my body, and we are part of the same soul. I learn as you learn. I have separate thoughts and knowledge, but so does a Kage Bunshin that has been around for a while. It will be different than who you are at the moment before it dispels, but in the end it is still you just as I am now." With a head rub, Naruto remarked, "I think I get it, but there is so much I don't understand." Eva laughed and replied, "That is the joy of being alive. If you knew everything in the world, what is the use in living? I guess you're right, your husband must have been a great man to have you, Naruto said, blinking. Eva stated, my creator was a great person and so was her husband, but I am not her. I may have her memories, but they were edited into me. You are my husband, Naruto. Without you I would be nothing but a piece of metal gathering dust. You complete me. I see. Does that mean you love me? Said Naruto, blinking. Eva looked perplexed and replied, I am unable to answer that question because even though we are connected and together we can never be truly together. At most I can be is as I am right now, either a hologram or voice in your head. I will protect you because you are precious to me, because without you there is no me, but I cannot say that I love you because I am not sure what love is. I will never be able to give you physical comfort or love. The most I can do is give you emotional support. Naruto was quiet for a while and said, Eva, I understand what you're saying. I realize that we can never be together physically, but you and I are together mentally and spiritually. I would not be who I am without you. I know that there may come a day where I will find someone who I will love the way you can't, but you will also have a place in my heart. After all, you are my heart. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I love you no matter what. I will always love you because you have loved me like no one else ever has. You will know me better than anyone ever. I hope you understand that. Eva was quiet once more and replied, I believe I understand what you are referring to, and if that is your decision, then I will love you always as well. Even if we are separate but the same, I will be here for you always. But I want you to promise me something. Your Nindo is never to go back on your word, so I want you to promise me that you will not use me as an excuse to not find your own happiness with a real person someday. I do not want you turning into those two women we met today who are holding on to something they can't have. If you ever do, I will delete myself, causing my death. The nanites will continue to do their job even without me, and you will live. If you truly love me, then make the promise you will not let me hold you from true happiness. Looking directly into her eyes, Naruto said, I promise, Eva. Eva replied, good, now the water is as hot as it will get, so those knives are ready. Go wash your hand with that antibacterial soap and then set the knives on the towels neatly for access, then we will begin. After following instructions, Naruto sat down by the table he had set up and secured his broken arm with wire at the wrist and elbow to keep it immobile. Eva then demonstrated pouring betadine on the arm, and Naruto imitated her actions. She then took a knife and carefully cut Naruto's arm. Naruto bit his lip as he placed the blade himself in the spot and winced as he cut a 6-inch line down his arm, then a 3-inch line across the top and bottom of the first cut. Seeing all the blood oozing, he then used a cloth pin to pin the skin he had cut back onto the towel. As she demonstrated the area to be cleaned, Eva instructed, use the baby nose pump to suck the blood out of the area around your bone as I do. Naruto screamed, "OOOWW," as he felt the suction on the delicate tissue on the inside of his arm, and he was perspiring profusely from the pain. Eva responded, I know it hurts, but we must continue. Your body is already reacting to the blood loss as well as the pain, and you're entering the first stages of shock. Gritting his teeth, Naruto yelled, just show me what to do. Eva looked up at him as he started to sway and exclaimed, Naruto, pay attention or you're going to die. It's the blood loss. You must stay focused and look at me. Naruto, look at me. Before saying, you must be careful here. Naruto. This will give him at most an hour. No choice. Forgive me. Naruto activating remote control. Eva scowled as she looked around and saw the suit of armor covering Naruto's entire body, including his arm. She said, redirecting liquid hydrogen from propulsion system to left arm, beginning freezing process. As Naruto's body began to stand up, she broke the ninja wire holding his arm and started to walk toward the window and through it. Red light scanned everyone's faces as they fled from the strange metal monster, and people on the street started screaming as a suit of armor started to move through the street. A man with a pitchfork appeared as the suit was moving down the street. He held the pitchfork in his hand and yelled in a terrified voice, what are you and what do you want? Eva spoke in a male voice, I am Iron Man. I am looking for the apprentice to Tsunade Senju of the Sanins named Shizune. A medical emergency needs her assistance. I mean no harm, but please help me find this woman. She has black shoulder-length hair and black eyes. She may be carrying a pig and was seen approximately less than 3 hours ago in this area. It is a medical emergency. How can I be sure you speak the truth? The man asked. Iron Man stated, I am a Konoha ninja who have been traveling with Jiraiya of the Sannin and another ninja. We were sent here to find Tsunade and Shizune, but the other ninja we came with is injured and currently dying from blood loss. Please, if you see this woman, tell her to find me. As the suit started to move. Who is hurt and what is wrong? Shizune's voice cut through the throng. The Iron Man stated, Naruto is currently suffering from blood loss nearby. Please come because I believe he has less than an hour left to live. All right, let me know where he is, Shizune said with a frown. With an outstretched arm, Iron Man said, climb on and I can get us there faster. Please trust me and hurry. As she approached Iron Man, Shizune scowled, sat taunting the pig on the ground, and uttered the words, please get Tsunade-sama. Iron Man put his arms around her, keeping the left arm away from Shizun's body to protect her from the frost. He said, "Hold on." Before Shizun could respond, they took off, leaving a shock group behind as Shizun screamed. Soon after, they landed on the roof of the hotel where Jiraiya and Naruto had been when Iron Man released Shizun. She shocked Shizun by appearing, and the armor surrounding Naruto fell next to his still frozen white right arm. Shizun asked, "What's going on and who are you?" as she glanced at Naruto's unconscious form before turning to face Eva. Eva responded, "I don't have much time since Tsunade could not do anything for him and he believed that you would be unwilling to help him with his arm. I told him of an experimental procedure to replace the missing bone in his arm with pieces of the armor. He tried the operation himself and passed out from blood loss. I currently have his arm in a temporary frozen state like frostbite to slow the blood loss, but I need you to finish the operation on his arm in the room below. Can you please pick him up and follow me and I will tell you how to save him." Shizun replied, "If you know how to save him, then how come you don't do it?" After slapping Shizun, Eva's hand passed through Shizun and she begged, "I would if I were real, please. He doesn't have much time." "Alright, show me where and what to do." Shizun scowled as she picked up Naruto's body and noticed the power cells glow. Following Eva to the room, she asked, "What now?" after she had fixed the hole in the wall with mud wall jutsu and placed Naruto on the bed. Eva responded, "Do exactly as I do and I will show you how to replace the missing bone. After that you will have to heal the injured veins in his arm with your own knowledge, as I am not a medic." "How can you be sure this will work then?" Shizun scowled. Eva replied, "I have no choice, please. Just trust me, because if Naruto dies, I die." Shizun sanitized her hand quickly after taking stock of everything and saying, "Okay, what now?" "I need to work on the bleeding first or he will die. Give me a few minutes." Eva then grabbed the items off the table and moved over, and the armor vanished. The bed was immediately covered in blood, and Shizun thought, "Shit, this is not good." She started to heal the veins as best she could, and after 5 minutes, she gave Naruto a blood pill. "That should give us a little time. Now show me what to do and hurry." Eva then showed how to cut the bone, join the two pieces by placing them where the arm's support rods would have been, and attaching them to the bone with a screw that started to go into the bone to reinforce it and create a stopper to keep the bone from coming out of the shock absorbers. As the armor reappeared on Naruto, then vanished as if it had never been there, Eva said, "That's all I know. The replacement parts have already begun to connect to his arm, so in 24 hours they should be even better than his own bone. It's up to you to fix the rest." "What the hell is going on? Damn it, why didn't he ask another doctor to do that procedure?" He and Jiraiya-sama both have a lot to answer, Shizun thought as she started to assist him using her medical knowledge. She finished about 20 minutes later, wiped the perspiration from her face, and looked at his almost fully healed skin. I wonder if he has a bloodline or something. He has an advanced cellular regeneration that I have never seen before. The test on his motor skills I ran after fixing the damage done to his arm show good signs of returning to normal with only a little rehabilitation, maybe none depending on how he adapts to those metal pieces. The chance of infection is moderate though, so he will need some antibiotics. I guess I can run by the local pharmacy and see if they have what he needs. "Are you okay, Shizun? What happened?" Taunton came running up to us all excited for some reason. "Are you hurt?" Jiraiya asked as she and Tsunade ran up. After searching for about 20 minutes, Tsunade froze again when she saw Shizun and the blood. Shizun glanced at herself and replied, "No. The blood belongs to Naruto, since he believed Tsunade would not perform the operation to heal his arm and that I would be unwilling to because of my connection to Tsunade-sama. He attempted to perform the operation himself. Some girl named Ironman came and found me after he passed out from blood loss." After giving it some thought, Jiraiya uttered, "A suit of red and gold metal." Shizun turned to him and replied, "Yes, and I have a lot of questions about that as well as whatever the hell that woman was. Anyways, the operation appears to be a success and the metal replacement parts were grafted to his missing bone in his left arm, and it appears with his unique regeneration abilities he should make a full recovery providing he receive a couple of antibiotics that I was on my way to get. I do ask, if that woman was able to show me how to heal his arm like she did, how come you had to come find us instead of using a doctor in Konoha? Surely someone could have done it." Scowling, Jiraiya remarked, "Shizun, I know you and Tsunade both know the truth about the Kyuubi. Think about it." Shizun said, "So he's," as her eyes widened and she blinked. As he was about to continue, an explosion occurred at the hotel where he and Naruto were staying. Jiraiya said, "Yes, what you saw is something only the Sandaime, myself, Naruto, and one other person is aware of before now. I can't give any more details now, but..." Jiraiya spun around and hurried out that way. Shizun scowled and began to chase after Jiraiya, but she stopped when she realized Tsunade was still motionless and that the words Naruto had said to her were replaying in her mind. "Rewind. When was the last time you took care of yourself?" felt like you were making a difference in the world, or truly had a smile on your face. Do you believe that your uncle would prefer that you or she live your life as you do? Just keep in mind that no one lives forever, including Shizune and Tsunade. When she's gone and you're too old to begin living, what will you do? I hope the item you're looking for is found. Final flashback. Shizune looked at Tsunade and said, Tsunade-sama, you used to tell me that as a medic it was my duty to cause no harm and to help those that I could. Helping Naruto earlier reminded me why I wanted to be a medic in the first place. Uncle Dan would not want us to live our life like we had. I have stood by you when everyone wouldn't because of the pain of losing him. Somebody reminded me recently that nobody lives forever. He asked me what will I do once you were gone, and I was too old to start to live my own life. I care for you, Tsunade-sama, because you're the only family I have left living, but I can't follow this path any longer. Uncle Dan would not want me to, and he wouldn't want you to either. Can you face him when you die as you are now, or do you want to face him as he remembered you? I hope you find what you're looking for, because Naruto was right. The Tsunade my uncle loved and asked to marry him died a long time ago, but she didn't die on the battlefield but in a bottle running from her past. As she looked sadly at Tsunade once last time and then jumped away after Jiraiya. After Shizune left, Tsunade collapsed to her feet, holding her head as memories of her brother and fiancé copyright flashed through her mind, followed by Shizune's words, before recalling what Naruto had said. Rewind. She never realized why her brother and fiancé copyright had given their lives for it. They wanted to be Hokage, you told me, so they knew they had to risk their lives to defend what was important to them. They died so she wouldn't, because they valued her in order to protect Konoha and me. My father also sacrificed his life to seal Kyuubi into me. Even though my life was terrible, I now accept that and understand why I made Jinchuriki. Since becoming Hokage is my dream, I will put myself in danger to safeguard what I value most. My Nindo, or ninja way, is to promise you that I will never break my word, and I will one day become Hokage. Finish the flashback as more of Naruto's words returned and tears streamed down her face. Tsunade reached up and grasped the necklace around her neck. Rewind. She no longer has the will to live, much less the will of fire. If she is incapable of healing herself, how will she ever be able to heal my arm? The end of the flashback. Dan, Nawaki, what should I do? Tsunade asked herself as she gazed up at the sky. One of her brother's flashbacks showed him saying, my dream is to be Hokage so I can protect Konoha and those who live in it just like Grandpa and Granduncle did. My dream is to be Hokage because I want to protect what I hold in my heart dear, Dan stated in another flashback. I will sacrifice myself to protect what is precious to me because my dream is to become Hokage. I will become Hokage one day. I give you my word and I never go back on my word. That's my Nindo, my ninja way, Naruto was saying in another flashback. She heard Naruto say, she doesn't have the strength to be Hokage because true strength comes from protecting that which is precious to you. As one final thought crossed her mind, Konoha must be cherished by a Hokage, who will stop at nothing to defend it, even if it means giving their life. You both thought that Konoha was so precious to you that you both died to protect it. You both thought that I was precious to you, so you both died to protect me. Oh, what a fool I have been, she said. Clenching her fist, she closed her eyes and said, please pardon me. Tsunade thought, I will not hide and be weak anymore, as she slowly got to her feet and looked toward the side of the town where the others were when an explosion rocked them. A fresh fire blazed in her eyes. I'll regain my true strength. With narrowed eyes, she leapt onto the roof and charged toward the shapes of Gambunta and Manda, saying, just watch me. Prior to the initial explosion following Shizune's departure, Eva noticed the door opening to the room and promptly activated Naruto's armor and stealth shield, giving the impression that he was asleep, but the blood on the bed remained visible. Two figures entered the room, one of whom chuckled and exclaimed, my Kabuto, what do we have here? The Kyuubi child apparently needed medical attention. For some reason we chose to follow after our informant told us about his recent battle with Itachi and Kisame, which was fortunate because he ruined all of my plans. I wanted to repay him. He not only stopped and defeated Shukaku, but he also ruined my well-thought-out surprise attack that was supposed to kill Sensei after I was knocked away. I was unable to free him so we could fight. It looks like they went through a lot of trouble to make a field hospital, but who was that figure in the strange armor we saw flying to this hotel? Kabuto said, surveying the room. Orochimaru stated, at this moment, it is irrelevant. He sent snakes to bite Naruto, but none of them were able to penetrate his skin. Let's kill the boy, he said. As Kabuto threw a kunai that bounced off Naruto's skin, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Orochimaru approached Naruto after they had exchanged glances, touched his skin, and remarked, strange, it feels like iron skin. Could it be some type of bloodline or perhaps a gift from the Kyuubi, like Gaara defense? Kabuto asked, raising Naruto's arm and letting it drop. Maybe, Orochimaru said after appearing to pause for a moment, because the fox would provide him with a means of protection. He took a kunai and tapped Naruto's body a few times, making the sound of metal on metal. I didn't notice it in the Forest of Death, but maybe it was something he just received, he said. Orochimaru stated, he would have made an intriguing test subject, but I can't risk him escaping later or Jiraiya saving him. He has already gotten involved too frequently for my taste. I don't think his skin could withstand being crushed and exploded, even if it is composed of some sort of metal. As he walked away, he said, set the place on fire, and I'll call Manda to crush the building remains. After setting the fuel canister on top of Naruto's chest and placing the Bunsen burner on top, Kabuto smirked and hurried out of the room. Eva came out after he had left, scowled, and used the remote control once more to knock the burner away and drop the stealth shield regretfully. The flames fell close to the curtain, and the fuel hose broke off the kerosene, causing it to explode. Orochimaru laughs as he watches the explosion outside the building, but then Iron Man flies out of the roof and lands on it. Orochimaru narrows his eyes, bites his thumb, wipes the blood off the seal on his arm, and starts flashing hand signals. Jiraiya arrived just as he was finishing up and started the same procedure. Iron Man, how is Naruto? Jiraiya asked, glancing at the building's roof as the sound of Kachiyose no Jutsu was heard a few seconds apart. Iron Man stated, he is currently safe, though Orochimaru and Kabuto tried to kill him. After a chuckle, Kabuto emerged and remarked, I had no idea that my name and exploits were so well known. I'm sorry to ask, but who are you? I've never seen you before. As he raised his right arm, Iron Man declared, I am Iron Man. A Senbon launcher emerged from it, launching 10 Senbons, and another explosion occurred as Kabuto took his place. Iron Man said, watch out for Kabuto Shizune. As he shot into the air and Shizune arrived after you left, he already attempted to kill Naruto. He is employed by Orochimaru. Shizune screamed as she fell to the ground, looking around when two hands emerged from the ground and sliced her calf muscles. Iron Man launched another set of 10 needles at Kabuto, who cried out in agony as the explosion burned the right side of his face. Kabuto had just emerged from the ground and was about to kill Shizune from behind when Tsunade appeared and kicked him in the back, sending him flying toward a small pile of rubble. Are you okay, Shizune? Tsunade asked, glancing around. When the Iron Man landed, Shizune, who was attempting to heal her legs, said, I will be shortly, Tsunade-sama. Shizune responded, he's a friend. Tsunade nodded and asked, where is the Gaki? According to Iron Man, he is safe for now. As she called forth Katsu, Tsunade remarked, good, then take Shizune and go guard him. Neither of you are ready for this level of fighting. Orochimaru responded, it looks like the Sanins are getting back together, huh? He cut his finger and said, how are you, Tsunade? Narrowing her eyes, Tsunade uttered, time to die, Orochi-chan. The battle bellow started as Iron Man lifted Shizune and took off. Shizune, I only have 10 minutes of power left and Naruto will be defenseless, Eva whispered through the suit as Shizune looked down and her hand glowed. Could you show us a secure location? I can take you to our hotel room, Shizune said, scowling and glancing down. I'll let you know when to stop as you head east. Any further and Naruto might die from chakra exhaustion, Eva said as Iron Man flew in the direction Shizune had instructed and eventually landed on a hotel roof. Shizune apologized as the suit came off and she grabbed him before he hit the ground. She looked around before picking Naruto up, but she heard a kunai coming and instinctively turned to deflect it with one of her own before taking a defensive stance in front of him to keep him as far out of sight as possible. When she noticed that Kabuto's face had been restored but that one of his eyes was white, indicating blindness, she narrowed her eyes and remarked, so you're back, huh? Yes, Lord Orochimaru sent me to join you and the other man, but where is he? Kabuto replied, he must be a third party, so where is he? He asked, his eyes darting around. I know he can't be Naruto because I recognized the signs of blood loss, so he could not have been the one fighting. He's gone back to deal with Orochimaru, Shizune stated. Kabuto scowled and remarked, I understand. A 2-foot-tall old toad with a cane landed where Kabuto had been, and he was abruptly sent flying. Then I will have to deal with you quickly before. Young whippersnappers these days, always forgetting to watch their backs, the toad remarked. I assume that the boy is Naruto. Hi, Shizune said, did Jiraiya-sama send you? Kabuto tapped his cane 4 times on the ground, and 4 battle toads, each 6 feet tall, emerged on the roof as the toad turned to face him and said, yes. As he dissolved into the earth, Kabuto squinted his eyes and uttered, I seem to have the disadvantage at the moment, but tell Naruto-kun that it will only be a matter of time before Orochimaru has his revenge for ruining his plans, and I will deal with this Iron Man myself the next time we meet. The old toad approached Naruto after he had left and remarked, "Well, this is Minato's son." As he tapped Naruto's stomach, he said, "I can tell the Kyuubi is here, but for some reason the boy does not have the Kyuubi power." As he tapped the blue glow that was gradually seeping through Naruto's shirt, he said, "I think it has something to do with this." After a short while, Jiraiya and Tsunade arrived. Jiraiya asked, "What happened to Orochimaru?" after glancing at Naruto and Shizune. "He sent him to help you and Naruto for some reason, but he retreated when Jiraiya entered Sage mode," Tsunade said, cracking her knuckles. "Where is Ironman, and why did you run away when you were safe in the air?" "Eva, how is he?" Jiraiya asked after taking a quick glance around. When Eva showed up and said, "He is currently down to about 13% of chakra," Tsunade looked dubious. "I had to use 1/3 of my chakra both times when I had to use the suit's remote control to locate Shizune and to save his life when Orochimaru and Kabuto planted a bomb on his body. The remaining chakra was used for flying and senbon attacks." As Tsunade's eyes widened at the sight of the hologram, the older toad questioned, "What are you?" "She is now a part of Naruto," Jiraiya stated. "This, the armor, and her are all connected," he said, lifting Naruto's shirt to reveal the power cell in his chest. As she disappeared, Eva remarked, "I must go for now because using this holographic form uses his chakra as well." "Thank you for coming to protect them, Pa," Jiraiya said. "I owe you money." "That device is purging his chakra of all the Kyuubi power," the now named Pa said. "It's nothing, Jiraiya, but I want the full story about this later. Only in the seal is there none in his body." All the toads rise in smoke as Jiraiya nods. "Let's take him to our room, Tsunade-sama, and thank you for coming to help us," Shizune said after Tsunade approached Naruto to take a look at him. "I take it the Gaki here was the one who gave you the advice," Tsunade said, biting her lip. As they entered the hotel room, Shizune nodded, and Tsunade said, "Tell me, Jiraiya," as she shut the door in the Gaki, "exactly what kind of chunin am I in charge of?" Jiraiya and Shizune both gave her a wide-eyed stare. Jiraiya responded, "Does that mean you're going to accept Sensei's request to become the Godem Hokage?" Reaching for her necklace, Tsunade took a moment to examine it before approaching Naruto and tying it around his neck. "To protect what is precious to you is when you find true strength," she said. "All of the Hokage have come to understand that Konoha and her people are the most valuable thing in your life. Before today, I had no idea that Dan and Nawaki had both given their lives not in vain, but to fulfill their dreams, which they had already done. When they wouldn't, they found the strength to make sure others would. Before this Gaki here literally pushed that in my face, I had no idea what that meant. Now, I have to make amends to both of their memories as well as his. I'll try to believe in a dream once more. I respect his desire to become Hokage one day, and I will murder anyone who attempts to crush that ambition." When Jiraiya grinned, Shizune remarked, "So we are returning to Konoha then?" Shizune started crying when Tsunade said, "No, we are returning home, Shizune." With a slight smile on his face, Naruto opened his eyes slowly and gazed into Tsunade's eyes before stating, "So this is Tsunade's Senju of the Sanins." "Rest Gaki. Everything is fine now," Tsunade said with a smile as she leaned forward to kiss his head. Raising his left arm slowly, Naruto turned it and moved his fingers, saying, "Yeah, everything is going to be okay now, thanks." He then fell back asleep. Turning, Tsunade said, "Now Jiraiya, tell me about Konoha and him, and I mean everything." Jiraiya rubbed his head and started to share his knowledge with them, saying, "Well, what the hell hit me? I feel like Choji sat on me again," Naruto thought as he awoke and rubbed his face. He blinked and looked at his hand in front of his face, turning it to the right, then to the left, and then back and forth. Note to self, never try to take ramen from Choji. "Eva, what happened while I was out? Everything is really fuzzy. How did my hand get fixed?" he thought as he touched each of his other fingers with his thumb. As she played back a video of everything that happened from the time he passed out until he woke up after Tsunade gave him her necklace, Eva's voice entered his head and said, "I am sorry. Eva, thank you for saving me. I need to also thank Shizune. How long was I out?" was Naruto's thought after it was over. "Are you mad at me?" inquired Eva, grinning. Naruto reflected, "No, you did the right thing after I was an idiot." Eva spoke with greater emotion. "It has been 2 days since then. You have slept that time, and Shizune gave you some soup broth to help you regain your energy along with the medicine she thought you would need to prevent any infection during that time. Jiraiya and Tsunade have gone off doing something that I am not aware of. I have been in standby mode, giving Shizune access to your body to ensure your health." Naruto looked up and said, "Well, I am glad Tsunade decided to heal herself and become Hokage, but why is it only Shizune that has healed me and not Tsunade? Not that I mind or anything, but I thought Tsunade was the more experienced medic." Eva responded. Tsunade started to, but Shizune said that she was going to become your official doctor from now on. I don't know exactly what has happened, but Shizune and Tsunade seem to have some sort of conflict between them. I believe I could be wrong, but I am not sure. Let me take a shower and shit. Do I have any cloths? Naruto nods and slowly sits up, looking around the room because he was only wearing boxers. Eva responded, I am afraid all your supplies went up in the explosion. With a sigh, Naruto said, maybe they have a bathrobe I can use. I need a shower. He slowly got out of bed and moved toward the open door, which he soon discovered was the bathroom. He showered and dried his boxers with a blow dryer he found in the bathroom. When he put his hands together and saw a pink bathrobe on the back of the door, he sighed and thought, might as well look the part. Eva then asked, what are you going to do? Covered in smoke, Naruto uttered the words, sexy no jutsu. Eva yelled, what did you just do? Your biology just completely changed. Scanning, as soon as the smoke cleared. Naruto swiftly snatched up the bathrobe and put it on, covering his ears while sporting breasts and pigtails. As he left the restroom, Naruto thought, that's just my sexy no jutsu. A henge, calm down. Shizune asked, who are you and have you seen a blonde hair boy around here? As Jiraiya turned to face the sound of the door opening and grinned shit-eatingly. Well, hello miss. What are you doing? He said as Tsunade punched him, sending him into a wall. Naruto looked up and replied, what's with you all? It's just a henge, damn it. I didn't want you all making fun of me because of the bathrobe, so I used my sexy no jutsu. And Ero Sanin over there gets all perverted and Eva is screaming something about changing my entire biography or something like that. It's me, Naruto. Sorry, Granny, when I made this jutsu, I made sure a simple release would not dispel it. By the way, I like your genjutsu now that it's not dispelled. Makes you look, well, I guess you could say a BBB. A big-boned blonde, Naruto said as Tsunade blinked, put her hands together, and said, KAI. Before Tsunade could commit murder, Shizune approached Naruto, took his arm, and said, come with me, Naruto. She then dragged him into the bathroom. After entering the restroom, Shizune said, all right, Naruto, could you please let Eva out for a moment? When Eva showed up, she said, yes, what is it? What exactly were you trying to say about this jutsu he is using? Shizune asked, glancing at Naruto, who pouted and crossed his arms. Eva responded, I don't understand exactly what happened, but the moment he did the jutsu his biology changed from male to female completely. When Shizune started making hand gestures, her hand turned green, and she started moving them over Naruto's body. Naruto giggled a little and said, stop that, it tickles. Shizune replied, Naruto, can you release that jutsu and let me check you again to confirm something? As he was covered in smoke, revealing his normal body with the power cell in his chest, Naruto sighed and remarked, geese, you all act like you never saw someone use a henge before. Does your scans show him back to normal also? Shizune inquired. Eva looked at him and replied, no, somehow by him doing that jutsu it changed his chakra network enough to allow some of the fox's chakra to enter his system again, not more than 2%, but enough that it will take me an hour to change it to normal. What are you all acting weird about? I have been using that jutsu for 3 years now, said Naruto, scrunching his nose. Shizune inquired, Naruto, what do you know about the difference between a male and a female? Naruto replied, well, I know what I saw in a magazine that had pictures of women in bathing suits, what women look like, and I saw a gross picture in Gigi office of what the inside of the human body looks like once before he took it away, and I know what I look like and that there is supposed to be something different, but I never really thought about it. I don't want to be a pervert and get hit like I see women do all the time to guys. I get enough of that already. Why? As she stood up and walked out of the room, Shizune blinked repeatedly and said, Naruto, stay right here a moment, I will be back. After glancing at Eva, who was actually perspiring, Naruto questioned, what? Eva shut her mouth as she opened it to speak, then simply exploded into fragments and vanished. So did you figure out what kind of trick the kid is playing? Jiraiya told me he has a reputation of being a prankster. Shizune shut the bathroom door behind her as she left and approached Tsunade, who was tending to Jiraiya's jaw. That's just it, I wish it was a prank. Jiraiya-sama, what was his education at the academy like? Shizune said, blinking once more as he glanced at her. Jiraiya replied, I know he was the dead last of his class, but other than that I really don't know. I only actually met him right before we came to find you both. Why? What if I told you that what you all just saw was an actual shapeshift? What would you both say? Shizune asked, pressing her fingers to her temple. After a moment of seriousness, Jiraiya questioned, do you think it has something to do with the fox? Shizune replied, I don't know. I do know Eva said that when he did the jutsu it altered his chakra network enough to allow a little bit of the fox's chakra to enter him again, and she was going to change it to normal now that he is a male, but that's just it. He actually doesn't understand the difference between males and females, so how can he change his biology enough to include a woman's entire reproductive tract? He said he saw a gross book once in someone's he calls Gigi office that showed the organs inside of males and females, but this Gigi person took the book before he had a chance to read it, and his only knowledge of what the outside of a female's body looks like is from a swimsuit magazine and him knowing what his own body looks like. He claims he purposely avoids learning anything that could be considered perverted because he doesn't want to give women any more reason to hit him since he saw some hit some men before. Tsunade looked at him and said, Shizune, can you be sure he is not lying to you about what he knows and Eva is not helping pull a prank? Shizune responded, no, Eva is just as shocked as I am. Do you both mind going somewhere for a couple of hours? If Naruto doesn't know the difference between males and females, then he probably has never had the talk either, and I don't want him getting it from Jiraiya and I don't want to embarrass him. Tsunade responded, alright, you feed him and talk to him and Jiraiya, and I will go get him some new cloths. You already gave me a list of his measurements, so it won't take us long. Shizune replied, give me about 3 hours, that way I can find the medical books in the scrolls one have to help me. Nodding, Tsunade said, come on, pervert, take me shopping. As he giggled in a perverse way, Jiraiya said, be careful breaking him in, Shizune. Tsunade then struck him in the head and pulled him away by his ear. With a sigh, Shizune went to the bathroom door and opened it after they had left, saying, come on out Naruto and eat you, and I have a lot to talk about. Shizune said, yeah, that's yours. We knew you would wake up today sometime and be hungry, but we didn't know when, so we went to the restaurant across the street to eat earlier. Go ahead and begin to eat and I will talk, okay? Naruto emerged still wearing the pink bathrobe and noticed a plate of takeout on the table. Where are Granny and Ero Sanin? Inquired Naruto. Shizune responded, Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama went to get you some new cloths since your old ones were destroyed in the explosion. Naruto sat down and started eating some sushi and rice, saying, good, I was worried I would have to wear this all the way back to Konoha. Alright, Naruto, first, how are you feeling? Shizune asked. Naruto replied, alright I guess, thanks to you and Eva, thank you for saving my life. Shizune responded, no, I should thank you for reminding me why I wanted to be a medic in the first place and for making me face my past. Anyways, can you feel any problems with your arm or anything else you need to tell me? I decided that I am going to become your official doctor from now on because I figure with the way Jiraiya-sama talked about your armor, Eva, and that thing that you were trying to keep it as much of a secret as possible, but you're not going to be able to keep it completely a secret if you get hurt again. Naruto took a breath and replied, I know Eva told me about how I can actually get sick now since Kyuubi chakra not going to be in me to cure it like before, along with a few other things. Are you sure you want to be my medic though? Shizune replied, yes, I think Tsunade-sama wanted to also, but... well, let me put it another way, Tsunade is what people call technologically impaired. Most of the medical procedures she created over the years and taught was so she would not have to mess with X-ray machines, lab equipment, heart monitors, and things like those that any doctor who does not know how to use chakra uses daily. The procedure that Eva instructed me through to fix your arm Tsunade would not have done simply because she does not understand them, and if she doesn't understand them then she won't use them. Add in that thing on your chest and her first instincts would be to rip it out of you. I already know that if that happens you will die from chakra explosion, correct? Shizune followed Naruto's nod by saying, I hope that you will not hold that problem against Tsunade-sama though. Naruto replied, I won't, but thanks for explaining it to me Eva, and I thought that with the way you both had been acting the past couple of days while I was out that you both had a fight. Shizune responded, well, we had a few words but it was over something we have already resolved. Now I understand enough about machines to be able to understand some of the things that pertain to you and Eva, but on the way to Konoha I will want to have a talk with her so I can better treat you if and when you need it, alright? Naruto took a bite to eat and said, okay. After waiting for him to finish his meal, Shizune said, now Naruto, I have a question. What was your education like in Konoha, because I am sure they should still teach basic anatomy to academy students. Trust her Naruto, if she is going to be your doctor then she needs to know, besides she is trying to be a friend to you, said the voice of Eva in his mind as Naruto scowled. Naruto said, basically it sucked when I was in the academy. I was always picked on by the teachers and the other students. The teachers would ask me questions on things that we never even covered or stuff that I was sent out of the classroom for, and since I couldn't answer the question I would get F's and the kids would make fun of me for not knowing it. At first none of the teachers liked me, but then Iruka sensei changed a little, but It wasn't until I had gave up trying at the academy to be anything more than the class clown that he actually saw me as a person instead of Kyuubi. By that time I didn't really trust him and started skipping classes to do pranks. I figure if I am going to be treated as shit and not learn anything, I could use my pranks to train myself. My stealth got good enough that I was able to paint the Hokage mountain in broad daylight without getting caught until the end when I screamed, drawing their attention. I wore an orange jumpsuit since that was all I could get, and I was able to lead 4 teams of Anbu, 16 Junin, and 30 Chunins on a chase through the village for 2 hours until Iruka-sensei came and found me. I didn't graduate the regular way either. I can't make bunshin. My chakra control sucks too bad to do them. I failed the exam 3 times because of that jutsu and nobody would help me to figure out why. Then Mizuki, Iruka assistant, told me about a makeup test. I broke in and stole the forbidden scroll from the Hokage tower, knocked out Gigi with my sexy no jutsu, and then in less than 3 hours I learned the Kage Bunshin no jutsu before Iruka found me, and Mizuki tried to kill us both but not before telling me about the Kyuubi and the reason I was treated the way I was. With a frown, Shizune remarked, "I see," Naruto stated, "but that was the night Iruka-sensei acknowledged me as a person and not the Kyuubi. After I defeated Mizuki, he gave me his own hiat that night and became something like a big brother or something, though I don't get to see him very often now." As she started looking through her bag and scowled, Shizune said, "I think I understand now why you don't know anatomy. Now finish eating while I get some things." "Oh great, I don't have those scrolls any longer. I forgot I sold them to pay off one of Tsunade-sama debt." She made 2 mud clones and then returned to Naruto's seat a few minutes later, saying, "Well Naruto, I don't have the book that I was going to explain it to you, so I will just have to do it the old-fashioned way." There were 3 Shizune total when the original Shizune produced an ink pen and the mud clone transformed into a male and a female. Both of them removed their clothing, and Naruto turned his head to watch the clones start to undress. As she started to draw on the clones' bodies to explain the differences, Shizune said, "Calm down, Naruto. I made the clones and had them alter the body enough so it won't be my body. See, even though their faces are similar to mine, it is different look as I explained the male and female anatomy to you so you can understand why your sexy no jutsu is so shocking." After asking a number of questions, Naruto nodded his head an hour later, and Shizune remarked, "So you finally understand what is unique about your sexy no jutsu?" Naruto replied, "Yeah, I see now. I never knew that I was actually changing that much. I won't use that jutsu again, even as a joke. No wonder the girls always got mad at me. They must have knew it was real somehow." Shizune added, "They probably didn't know it was real since they never actually checked, but the appearance was good enough to throw any woman's dignity out the window. Women over the ages have had to fight hard to be recognized as more than sex objects, and that jutsu is basically reinforcing the belief that we are. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the world who will always see us women as just that." The statement from Naruto was, Ero Sanin being one of them. "Yes, though he does show a little respect, very little," Shizune said, giggling a little. "Well, thanks for explaining that to me," Naruto remarked. Shizune responded, "That was the easy part. Now that you understand, I need to explain to you what is referred to as the talk. I am sure someday you will find some woman you love and don't want to ruin it with misunderstanding on what is appropriate and what is not right." Shizune started explaining it to Naruto after he nodded. Because Shizune had the 2 mud clones perform specific parts, Naruto was unconscious on the floor by the end of the conversation. Shizune said, "So any more questions?" after Naruto woke him up. Naruto replied, "No, just promise me that you will never give me that talk again, please." Shizune responded, "I won't, and relax. Since you were so good a student, I will tell you what. Tell me what chakra control exercises you know and how often you perform them, and I will help you with them." "I know the tree climbing and the water walking, and I mastered them both," Naruto said, wrinkled his nose. With a blink, Shizune inquired, "Well, how often do you do them?" After observing Naruto's bewildered expression, Shizune remarked, "Your sensei did tell you that you need to keep practicing those to get better, right?" Naruto looked at him and said, "Kakashi sensei only showed my team the tree climbing exercise, and he said too much chakra you blow off too little and you fall off. Mark the tree with a kunai to show your progress before you fall off." Sakura got it on her first try, and he sent her to guard the client at the bridge while he recovered, leaving Sasuke and me to do it. That was all he ever said to me, at least in fact that was all he actually taught me. "Well, what about the water walking?" Shizune scowled. Naruto replied, "Well, Eva taught that to me after Kakashi sensei told me I wasn't worth his time to train for the chunin exams before he left me without even a helping hand. I learned it in a day from her before learning the hidden mist jutsu and how to use this suit during the 1-month break between the semi-finals and the finals of the chunin exam." Shizune shook her head and said, "All right Naruto, Here is the best advice to get good chakra control and to keep it anyone can ever give you, even if you master the exercises, still do them to keep getting better. You know the tree climbing. Learn the leaf balancing and combine them together a few hours a week. Know the water walking. Learn meditation and combine them while walking on the water. Naruto inquired, can you teach me how to meditate and how to balance a leaf? Shizune looked around prior to settling into the lotus position and replied, yeah. To meditate, sit down like I am and then focus on your breathing. Learn to stay calm and don't let anything bother you around you. Just concentrate on keeping your breathing at a set pace. Once you are sure your breathing is calm and steady with nothing on your mind, focus inside you and feel the other things in your body that are running at a steady rhythm. You will find your heart, and once you find your heartbeat you will feel the chakra flowing through you. When that happens, flow with it, find where it begins and where it ends. Once you can map your entire chakra network in meditation, you will be able to then, like your breathing and your heart, be able to steady the flow to make it where instead of ripples all throughout your network from the chakra being constantly created to a steady stream. When she saw Naruto begin to control his breathing. After Shizune stayed silent for almost 20 minutes and threw away her clones, Naruto slowly opened his eyes, gave her a small smile, and said, thanks Shizune, I think I understand what you were saying. Once I was able to get my breathing under control, it felt like I could feel my heart trying to tear out my chest. As I calmed it down, I felt, I don't know, my chakra doesn't normally feel that to me. With a bewildered expression, Shizune questioned, like what? Naruto replied, you ever see a water hose that has been held with a kink in it and then suddenly let go, how the water just shoots out real hard for a second? Well, it feels like it was going out real hard constantly. It's not surprising if you think about it, Naruto. Your body had to adapt to the Kyuubi chakra flowing into you, so to make sure that you have more of your chakra than the Kyuubi harmful chakra in you at a time, then your body would have to get to make your own reserves fill up faster than Kyuubi chakra, Jiraiya said, startling both Shizune and Naruto with a voice from the other side of the room. When he got up, Naruto asked, when did you both get back? Tsunade replied, as Shizune mud clones dissolved. But why did you need mud clones? To demonstrate something, nothing important, Shizune said. Naruto was rubbing his head and saying, then I have a question. If my chakra is coming out so fast from my heart, then why is hitting a wall that is going back toward my heart? Or at least that was what it felt like. Tsunade blinked and glared at Shizune, saying, but let me check something, please. Naruto, I know, Shizune said. She is your medic and I suspect I know why. Shizune said, go ahead, Naruto, she has more experience than I do, as Naruto turned to face her. Since you got this thing, what has your chakra reserves been like? Tsunade asked Naruto as he approached, causing her hand to glow green and move it over his heart before moving it toward the device in his chest. Her eyes narrowed as she looked at Naruto. Naruto looked at him and replied, actually smaller. I used to be able to make nearly 1000 kg bunshin, but now I can't even make 50. Why? After a moment of widening eyes, Jiraiya said, take that robe off and let me check something. Jiraiya said, well, the seal that is drawn here is adding chakra from his heart to the device. I can't see anything wrong. Naruto scowled but removed it, leaving him in his boxers. Tsunade took a step back and remarked, I do though, and I can understand how Shizune missed it also. Blinking, Shizune questioned, what did I miss? According to Tsunade, follow the actual chakra network from his heart and across his body, not just the seal that traces the chakra path. After a few seconds, Shizune's hand began to glow green. She focused, her eyes widened, and she said, no way. After a brief moment of fear, Naruto questioned, what? Tsunade replied, Naruto, how did you get this device? Who gave it to you? With a frown, Naruto uttered, someone who wanted. Tsunade inquired, I mean, was it a doctor? He claimed to be a metallurgist. Why? Asked Naruto. Tsunade nodded her head and said, listen Naruto, whoever gave this to you may have been a brilliant person in metal working with other skills. He must also have had some basic understanding of the human body and seals, but he was no seal master and he was no doctor. Otherwise he would have realized that what he did was disconnected the main chakra network, and the only thing actually keeping you alive is this single seal line right here. You're only getting maybe a fraction of your actual reserves. Because of it, your main chakra network from your heart is just clamped off and not connected to this device like it is on the other side. Perhaps he thought it was the same, but it's not. You need an operation, Naruto, to fix this. After Naruto scowled, Shizune remarked, I am afraid she is right, Naruto. I can't believe I missed that. When Jiraiya saw Naruto looking down, she said, Naruto, have Eva come out a moment. Jiraiya remarked, did you know this? As Eva showed up without being asked. Eva replied, no, I can't actually scan his chakra network. All I can do is control the flow of chakra through the power cell and the seals that are connected to it. Jiraiya responded, Wait, you can control the seals connected to the device. Eva replied, yes. How do you think I am able to control the seal gates for Kyuubi chakra to make sure that Naruto chakra is always the dominant one? The same technology that is used to repair the suit is added to any seal that is connected to the Naruto. I simply send commands to the nanites that embed themselves into the seals, and they relay any command I send down them instantly to make the appropriate one does what it is supposed to do, like activating or deactivating a seal, and for how long, why. After giving Naruto and Tsunade a quick glance, Jiraiya remarked, oh nothing, just curious how she was able to do it. Tsunade spoke up as Naruto scratched his head, saying, listen, Naruto, we need to fix that chakra connection or it is going to cost you trouble down the road. With a scowl, Naruto remarked, great, just when I wake up, huh? Tsunade replied, don't worry, it won't be too hard to fix and I can have it taken care of in less than 2 hours, a small cut and then using chakra to mend it together before sealing it back. Naruto sliced his finger with his fingernail and held it up to demonstrate the bleeding, asking, and your fear of blood? Tsunade confidently said, I am over it, as she walked over and took the blood. Naruto replied, well I guess then I will show you some respect, Hokage-sama, at least when I have to granny. He flew backward into the wall after Tsunade punched him in the head, moaned, and passed out. After observing the hand signals Tsunade was making covertly, Shizune remarked, you know that jutsu only calls for a light tap to the head, not a forced punch. Tsunade laughed. As she glared at Eva, Tsunade remarked, I know, but he had that coming and I doubt I will get many more chances without her stopping my punches again. Jiraiya responded, now Eva, you and I are going to talk while they work on the Gaki. I don't like the ideal of his life revolving around a metal device in his chest that if damage means his death. I studied the seals on him every chance I had since I met him, and I do see you care for him. You may be a hologram, but you do have some human emotions. Most likely from your creator, so you must understand that you are a risk to his life. Eva replied, I am aware of this, though I can't do really more than I already am to help protect and aid him. Jiraiya said, then we are going to discuss a few new seals you will have under your control to help him. As Shizune moved Naruto to the bed and Tsunade washed her hands, he turned his notebook around to reveal a drawing of his planned strategy. I am going to create several fail-safe seal lines like around the device in his chest that will have safety cutoffs like the Kyuubi gates, that if that device is damaged he can still access his regular chakra by having you quickly turn them on. Do you understand? Eva replied, yes, I understand the concept, as I had also been thinking about something like that, however I do not have the required knowledge to properly perform it myself or the ability. Jiraiya replied, good, that shows you're willing to do what is necessary to ensure my godson life. Now on top of that I have a problem with his own speed and strength and enhancing them. I will place 5 seals on his back, arms, and legs that will act as artificial weights. They can only go up to 200 each for a total of 1,000 pounds and will increase by adding 10 pounds. Starting with the first 10 pounds you will send a small burst of chakra to each of them when he gets used to them, adding 10 more pounds until each reach the 200 level. One will connect them each to a seal near the relay that I am putting around the device so not to draw too much attention. With a neutral tone, Eva asked, is that all? Jiraiya replied, no, there is one more thing. How much are you able to record around Naruto, because I noticed when you were able to show him a replay of the Rasengan first stage to help him. As Orochimaru and Jiraiya went through the summoning process, Eva remarked, I constantly monitor the area for any threat to him and can replay whatever I monitor, including any battles we see. Jiraiya replied, I see, that was all I was needing to know. Now go ahead and rest or whatever it is when you disappear, as I got work to do. As she disappeared, Eva scowled and thought, jackass. Everything seems to be better now and you should have more chakra than ever before, Tsunade said as she grabbed her coat and left the room with Jiraiya and Shizune after Naruto woke up a few hours later. Since it is too late today to head back, we will leave at first light. Tomorrow we are going out to eat, so grab your clothes there and try them on and meet us down in the lobby. Eva had the replay of her and Jiraiya's conversation after they left, and she said, I don't know if you want to know, but some other stuff was done while you were asleep. After it was over, he thought, can you still hear me? And said, I see. Eva gives a nod. I want you to keep watch of what everyone else does. I don't care who they are right now. The only one I actually trust is you, because you have never betrayed me or given me a reason to doubt you. Ero Sani never was really there for me ever before I got you. As for Tsunade, she may be changing her spots, but seeing Kabuto like that showed me even someone who seems to want to help can shed their skin like a snake, just like Mizuki. As Eva put it, what about Shizune? With a frown on his face, Naruto thought, for now, her also. Eva nods and disappears as Naruto dons a blue shirt and black pants. He then puts on his chunin vest and the armor, which is cloaked except for his head. Upon arriving at the lobby, Tsunade remarked, I see you finally ready, come on Gaki. According to Jiraiya, so, everything okay, of course, why wouldn't it be? Said Naruto. Jiraiya replied, oh nothing, just wanted to make sure you feel alright considering all the medical needs you had. With a grin on his face, Naruto remarked, I see, well thanks for watching out for me godfather. He also remarked, ironic it only when the Hokage ordered him to. Don't get cold, Naruto, he might have had a legitimate reason for what he claims, Eva told him in his mind. I know, but I don't like how he treats me as an idiot and treats those I care about like crap, Naruto sighed. Eva was thinking, don't worry about me Naruto, I have no feelings, I am just a hologram and a machine, these are real people who are trying to care for you. Once they entered a small restaurant and bar, Naruto thought, don't make excuses for them, I will give them a chance but I won't let them hurt me like Mizuki did. For the remainder of the evening, Eva said nothing. On their way back to Konoha the following day, Jiraiya threw Naruto a scroll and said, here you go, Naruto. Naruto scowled as he sent chakra to the rubber ball, which exploded. After opening the scroll and unsealing it, Jiraiya remarked, I see you got through that even faster than me. What are you both up to? Tsunade inquired. Naruto continued, he's teaching me the Rasengan that was the second stage, however what he is not telling you is that what I did was only half as strong as his because he uses 10 different rotations as the first part and I already have that down also, but the second stage is supposed to make all 10 equal in power as you power up the jutsu, but I only have 5, isn't that right? He was staring at Jiraiya. Jiraiya sighed as she said, Eva helped you understand the jutsu better than I thought she could, but you also just revealed the secret behind it. Naruto sighed and replied, tell me what the last step is so that I can just go on to it after I finish getting all 10 up to the right level. The last step is containment. You must put the first and second stage together without popping the balloon. Jiraiya scowled as he saw Shizune and Tsunade staring at him. He then sighed and held an air balloon in both hands while demonstrating a completed Rasengan. After scowling and glancing at his hand, Naruto asked, why? Which caused the three to turn to face them. Jiraiya responded, what do you mean why Gaki? That is just the way the jutsu is done. But then the problem with the Rasengan still exists. Your target has to be standing still in order to hit them. Why can't you just do this instead? Naruto said, raising his hand as everyone watched as energy started to build up in his hand, forming a thinner, wider disc instead of the Rasengan's ball shape. Naruto then turned his arm and made a throwing motion, and the disc flew out of his hand and headed toward a tree, slicing through it, leaving an inch tall, 6-inch wide cut all the way through the tree. Jiraiya questioned, how did you do that? As the three adults gaped at this. Naruto sighed and replied, well, I was thinking back after I learned the secret to the first stage was multiple directions where before I was only going one way and it made the balloon go flat. And, Jiraiya asked, nodding. Naruto replied, well, that got me thinking, what would happen if you added multiple currents all going in the same direction instead of different? That was only 5 currents. The amount actually needed to burst a water balloon in a rubber ball. I still want to try and get it to the same 10 rotations like the regular Rasengan, but at least as it is now it doesn't take as much chakra as the Rasengan and it can be thrown. I see where you are coming from, but do you realize that you took the principle of the Rasengan and created a new jutsu? Jiraiya asked, placing his hand to his chin. Naruto replied, really cool, I guess I will call it a Rasen Shuriken since that is what it looks like, a shuriken spiraling. Jiraiya responded, kid, you just completed one of the 2 dreams your father had for this jutsu. One was to be able to throw it. I see now the fact the energy is going in the same direction keeps us stable enough as long as the core is moving faster like gravity to hold it together in flight. Well done. Well, if that was one of my dad's dreams, then what was the other? Asked Naruto, wrinkled his nose. According to Jiraiya, to add elemental manipulation to it. What is elemental manipulation? Inquired Naruto. Do you know what your primary element is? Jiraiya asked, blinking. Says Naruto. No, should I? What the hell did Kakashi teach you, Naruto? Jiraiya scowled. Shizune replied, tree climbing, and even that was half-ass. That was all he taught Naruto. I will get the things I need to teach you elemental manipulation when we get back to Konoha, Jiraiya snarled. Naruto replied, that reminds me, we still need to go by and get me some senbons. I only have 50 left. Jiraiya responds with a nod. We will, kid, but I am more worried about getting your overall skills better, not just those that you get from the suit. Naruto replied, well, in the meantime I am going to keep working on the Rasengan to try and completely learn it so I can make the Rasen Shuriken stronger. I want to make it as wide as a demon windmill shuriken if I can. Jiraiya replied, that would be a major assassination jutsu, Naruto, if you could throw it fast enough. Naruto replied, assassination jutsu, you mean like the Chidori of Kakashi? Tsunade responded, you do know that the Rasengan is an assassination jutsu, right? Naruto replied, no, all I know about it is the steps so far and that my dad created it. After Tsunade gave him a fierce look, Jiraiya responded, I know I will explain it to him. With a sigh, Naruto took out another rubber ball and focused on it, then his free hand, before it exploded once more. The search for Tsunade and her return to Konoha took a little more than 6 weeks in total, which was a week and a half longer than Naruto thought it should have been because, after persuading Tsunade to return, they made stops in 2 gambling towns and 2 hot springs known towns rather than continuing directly to Konoha. In addition to working on the Rasengan and completing the last step, Naruto also meditated for an hour every night before bed and practiced tree climbing and water walking with the help of 100 Kage Bunshin, who also learned the leaf balancing technique. With Eva in the suit filtering his chakra, he was able to increase his chakra control to high chunin or low junin levels. Although he has only completed 6 rotations, he was still working on the Rasen Shuriken to increase the number so he could increase its size. When Naruto started to feel frustrated in his mind, he would talk to Eva. As instructed by Jiraiya, Eva gave Naruto more weights and told him that he was now up to 80 on each weight seal, which added 400 pounds to his body weight. Naruto discovered in the gambling towns that, despite Eva's assistance, he was very lucky in a few scratch-offs and a slot machine. He picked a coin from the floor and played, winning him, much to the surprise of the adults, a total of $101,000. In addition to the $100,000 from the scratch-off, he won $1,000 from the slot machine. Jiraiya continued by saying that Naruto would be tempted to spend the money due to the world's sins, but Tsunade sent him flying in an attempt to persuade him to give it to her so she could gamble with it. After giving them both a quick glance, Naruto informed them that he was saving his money in order to improve his life once he returned to Konoha. Shizune gave Naruto advice regarding the chakra control exercise and how to maintain it while balancing the exercises on a regular basis. Additionally, she examined him multiple times before declaring that he had fully recovered. In order to better prepare her for the position of Godem Hokage, Tsunade and Jiraiya discussed Konoha as a whole, Akatsuki, the village attack, and the political climate at the time of their departure. When Naruto saw the gates of Konoha, he thought, finally. Look at the bright side, it was a successful mission, Eva told him in his mind. When Naruto saw Kotetsu and Izumo at the gates, he thought, true, I guess that's a plus. Kotetsu then remarked, finally Naruto, you're back. I was starting to think you went missing nin on us. As he gestured over his shoulders to Tsunade, who cracked her knuckles and questioned, what did you say, brat? Naruto replied, no, just had to go get the old hag here to come back to Konoha. With a sly smile, Naruto said, calm down, Granny, I don't want you to have a heart attack in your old age. Upon recognizing Tsunade, Izumo became pale and believed that he has a death wish. Tsunade replied, just wait, I will bust your ass back to Genin when I take over. Naruto replied, really? Then I guess that gives me a chance to kick Sasuke Teme ass finally. Naruto frowned and turned to face Kakashi, who was seated on the wall, when a voice said, seems you are still as surprising as usual, Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki returning from S-rank mission with Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama, and her apprentice Shizune requesting permission to enter, Naruto said in a firm tone as he glanced at Kotetsu. Said, granted and welcome back. Izumo and I are about to get off when Kakashi takes over in a few moments along with Shino. After you get out of the Hokage office, come look for us at Red's Bar on the east side of town. Can't miss it because it is the only building with a red roof. We will do that night of drinking. We promise to congratulate you on being chunin even if you get busted back later, with a grin. Turning, Naruto uttered, your orders, Jiraiya-sensei. After glancing at Kakashi, Jiraiya scowled and said, let's go, kid, it's been a long trip. He then followed Tsunade and Shizune into the village. Come on, Izumo. Let's go get ready for tonight. It looked like he needs a night to relax. You both ready, right? Kotetsu said, and Kakashi scowled as he watched them leave. Naruto ignored him, and he leapt to the ground when Shino approached a few moments later. As a few bugs flew out toward the surrounding area, Shino leaned against the wall and Kakashi said, yeah, he took out his book and started reading. Naruto was frowning as they walked through the village, and Jiraiya remarked, you know, if you don't pick that lip up you might step on it. Naruto stated, I forgot while I was away that I have to grow up now. I am not some worthless area of space who is not worth people's times. I am a chunin of Konoha and I need to act as such, in an impartial tone. Tsunade and Shizune exchanged glances before Tsunade said, drop the act, Gaki. Without turning around, Naruto said, I am sorry, Tsunade-sama, about my earlier disrespect. Tsunade sighed as she and the others ascended the stairs to the Hokage Tower. When they reached the floor where the Sandaime office was, they saw Team 10 leaving. Shikamaru called out to everyone, "So you're back, Naruto, huh?" "Hey Shika," Naruto said with a slight smile, "I see they promoted you as well." "Wait, you made chunin. Where have you been at, Naruto?" Ino said, blinking. Naruto replied, "Sorry Ino, classified. All I can say is it involved those. I am in the company of. If you would excuse us, we need to see Hokage-sama," as he was passing by. "You knew he was promoted, didn't you?" Ino snapped, glaring at Shikamaru as soon as she saw Naruto and the others enter the Hokage office. As he started to leave with his hands in his pockets, Shikamaru remarked, "Troublesome blonde." The Hokage informed Shino and I both, but we were ordered not to tell anyone until Naruto returned. Ino snarled and turned to face Choji, who raised his hands. She then glared at Asuma, who was grinning and smoking a cigarette. Before stomping off, she huffed and crossed her arms. If she is angry about not knowing the rumors about Naruto getting promoted, I wonder what she would do if she learned about Shikamaru and the examiner lady, Choji said after she left, glancing at Asuma. "Then she would blow a gasket," Asuma said with a laugh. "I wonder if those two fools at the gate will attempt to capture Naruto in the same way that they captured Shikamaru and Shino. I don't know, but if they do, who would it be?" Choji shrugged. Shikamaru was apprehended by that Anko woman, who restrained him with snakes before tying him to her bed. Asuma replied, "Yeah, Shikamaru is actually motivated now, trying to stay busy since Anko told him that if she found him not busy she would have a repeat." "What did Kurenai-sensei do to Shino though?" Choji inquired. Asuma laughed and remarked, "Oh, she was really cruel to him. I'm not sure how she managed to capture him and destroy his hive, but she did. And then she condemned him to a fate worse than death. She posted pictures of him in just his boxers throughout the village. Shino now has a fanbase that is almost as large as Sasuke's." Blinking, Choji questioned, "But why?" As Choji paled upon seeing Kurenai standing there, he heard Kurenai's sweet voice. "Because of Shino family bloodline, they have no body fat, and since they can't use other type of jutsu besides their clan jutsu, they have to focus on taijutsu, so they actually wear those coats to hide their bodies, not out of embarrassment but to keep from having fangirls." Glancing at Choji and Asuma, Kurenai asked, "So what is it you were wanting to know about my punishment for Shino?" Her smile was sickening. "Naruto returned and he is also a chunin," Asuma said, extinguishing his cigarette. "We wanted to know if those two would set him up the way they did Shikamaru and Shino." Kurenai remarked, "I have to leave now. I wonder who they'll pair him up with." Asuma, "I just stopped by to let you know that I won't be able to make it tonight." "All right," Asuma said. "I hope that everything is going well." Kurenai replied, "Yeah, but Anko asked for my help with a problem, so I have to cancel getting drinks tonight." Asuma said, "It's okay. I may need to speak with my father if my suspicion about what is happening turns out to be correct." According to Kurenai, "What's going on?" The Hokage office door suddenly blew off, and Asuma and Kurenai took a defensive stance in front of Choji. As Choji, Asuma, and Kurenai watched in disbelief as the door was completely destroyed, Naruto walked through what was left of it and remarked, "Told you, good as new." Just a few minutes before, when Shizune, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Naruto entered the Hokage office, the third person exclaimed, "Ah Naruto, it's good to see you again. I can tell your mission was a success." Naruto replied, "Yeah, just had to wait for Ero-Sanin here to actually show up when I was in trouble from Kisame and Itachi, but other than that actually finding her wasn't that much of a problem." Jiraiya replied, "I already told you Gaki, I was waiting for the right moment to strike." The Sandaime remarked, "Well, I will want to hear all about it later. Jiraiya, now I am sure you were wondering what I called you here for." Tsunade, while Naruto grinned as Jiraiya sighed. Tsunade replied, "Actually the kid here already informed me of what I need to know. You want me to take over your job as Hokage. We ran into Orochimaru and one of his men, so I understand what is at stake." After glancing at Naruto, who was standing at attention, the third person said, "And what of your injury, Naruto?" As he moved his left hand, Naruto remarked, "Had a few setbacks but I am as good as new." The third replied, "That is a bold claim considering how damaged it appeared to be before you left." Shizune continued, "We were able to replace the missing bone with metal pieces that adapted to him perfectly." The third replied, "Really, are you sure these pieces will not cause future trouble?" Naruto replied, "Is there anything else you need me for besides just asking about my health? It has been a long trip and I have a couple of things I wish to attend to before dark." The third individual replied, "That is all, but until I can see that you are as good as you claim you are, I am going to put you on the injured list." As he started to gather chakra with his left hand, Naruto saw a Rasengan and slammed it into the doors, saying, "Told you, good as new." He then started to leave. Looking at the three adults present, the third person's eyes widened, and he said, "I want a full explanation." Jiraiya replied, "Well, the first thing you should know is he already invented his own assassination jutsu. He made a new version of the Rasengan that can be thrown like a shuriken, and he calls it a Rasen shuriken." As he lighted his pipe and took a puff, the third said, "I see that is surprising." He then led them to a side room and gave the order for a few Anbu to guard the space. "Henge into Eva," Naruto said as he made his way to the first floor of the Hokage Tower in an office. A woman behind the counter said, "Yes, can I help you?" As he handed a business card with an address on the back, Naruto said in his Eva voice, "Yes, I wanted to buy this house and property and was wondering if you could help me." As she entered the back, the woman glanced at the address and remarked, Let me check the records a moment." A few minutes later she returned to say, "Well, I looked up that address and I am sorry to tell you that it is not actually a building that is for sale, at least not through the village. It is owned by the Wolf Claw weapon shop. If you want to buy that place you would have to talk to them." When the price was evident, Naruto turned and walked away, saying, "I see, thanks." He then dropped the henge. 20 minutes later, Naruto was examining the weapon store when he asked himself, "What do you think, Eva? Should I enter as you or as myself?" After a brief period of silence, Eva said, "How about going as yourself first and getting the senbons, and then if you don't get thrown out then ask about the house." As he crossed the street and went into the store, Naruto thought, "Okay." She said, "Welcome to the Wolf Claw weapon shop. How can I help you?" Tenten was seated behind the counter when the bell above the door rang inside the store. She looked up and was startled to see Naruto. Naruto replied, "Hello, I remember you, you're that girl from the exam, right?" Tenten replied, "And you're Naruto Uzumaki, the guy who beat my teammate and embarrassed that Suna bitch." Naruto replied, "Yeah, I guess that's me. Well, I was wondering if I could get some supplies." "Well, this is a weapon shop, so you came to the right place," Tenten snorted. "Yeah, I need 500 standard senbons," Naruto replied. Tenten said, "Well, that's easy. What else do you need?" as he approached a shelf and took 10 boxes. "Well," Naruto said, surveying the area, "I was also wondering if I could talk to the owner of this place about something." Tenten replied, "Well, I am his daughter, so I could probably help you." As he gave Tenten the card with the address on it, Naruto scowled briefly and remarked, "Well, I wanted to talk about the house and land at that address." Upon glancing at the address, Tenten scowled and said defensively, "What about it? Are you going to complain about how it looks?" Naruto replied, "Actually no, I was wondering if it was for sale. I'm interested in buying it." With a blink, Tenten said, "Why, may I ask?" Naruto sighed and said, "Let's just say the day I first saw it my life was changed. I currently live in a little apartment a few blocks from here and I want a place to call my own where I don't have to worry about my neighbors and can train without much worry. There are not really anyone over near that house and I thought I might be able to get it and clean it up a little, making a nice little home for me." Tenten looked at him and replied, "I can understand that, but I am afraid the house is not for sale. My mother is buried there on that land." With wide eyes, Naruto said, "Oh, I am so sorry, I didn't know." Tenten replied, "Don't worry about it. I never knew her because she passed away shortly after I was born." Naruto stopped and said, "My mother did also. She passed away from complications because the doctors were busy healing the wounded from the Kyuubi attack." According to Tenten, "I see, I guess you can understand." Naruto replied, "Yeah, well, how much do I owe you for the senbons?" Both teenagers turned to face the stockroom door when a male voice said, "Nothing." Tenten then asked, "What do you mean, Dad?" "Those cost $110 in total." "Hello, Uzumaki-san. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dustin, and I see you've already met my daughter Tenten," the man said, turning to face Naruto. Naruto replied, "Yes sir, do I know you? I mean, you look familiar a little, but I can't seem to place you." Dustin replied, 4 years ago you came in with the Sandame to get some shurikens and kunais for the academy after someone broke in and stole yours." Naruto looked up and replied, "I remember, you took a picture of me and the Sandame together. I still got that picture in my apartment." Dustin replied, "I am glad you remember me. I did not know you were interested in senbons, but I saw what you did in the exams. That was impressive. How did you throw those exploding senbons?" With a trembling squeeze of his left hand, Naruto said, "I wish I could tell you, but I promised the person who showed me how I wouldn't tell anyone if I could keep from it. I hope you understand." Dustin replied, "Yeah. A ninja has to have some honor, right? So you said your mother passed away at birth. Do you mind if I ask who she was? I might have known her." Naruto stated, "Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. She came from the land of Whirlpool. That is really all I know about her." Dustin touched his chin with his finger and said, "Red head, green eyes. Her personality was that of a tomboy, but her beauty was actually well known. She broke hearts of many a man. If I remember correctly, I am afraid that I only knew her in passing once though. As he placed some money on the counter and left with the boxes of senbons, Naruto said, I thank you, at least I know at least what she looked like. I must be going. Tenten questioned, what was that about, Dad? Why were you going to give those senbons to him free? As Dustin scowled. Both of them turned and gasped when a female voice caught their attention and said, he feels he owes a debt that is paid. Softly, Dustin said, Mikoshi, it can't be. Tenten looked at the person in front of them and said, Mom. The lady replied, I am but an echo of the woman you think I am. I just wanted to say the debt you feel you owe is paid. Dustin, you have paid it back tenfolds, though you do not realize it. Please move on with your lives and thank you. I heard you saying you never got a chance to know your mother, so I wanted to pay you back a little of the debt that my master owes your family. What are you talking about? Tenten inquired with a frown. Dustin remarked, you're Eva, aren't you? Eva said, yes, but I am here on my own volition without the others knowing. I don't have much longer. I wish to thank you for giving me this life. As Tenten turned to face Dustin. Dustin glanced at Tenten, who was looking perplexed. This is a hologram of your mother. She was a brilliant woman before you were even around. Your mother copied her mind into something that we both worked on in hopes of making the world a better place. I can't tell you anything else, but I hope that this gives you a little bit of what you lost, dear. How are you here? Are you connected to Naruto since you heard what I said to him? Tenten asked, glancing at Eva. Eva responded, I am something unique. I did not come here to cause you any pain, and I was nearby when you and he were talking and I heard what you both said. That is all I can say. How did you know it was me? Inquired Dustin. Eva replied, heat recognition. Each person body heat is unique. Is that all you wished to say and do? Asked Dustin, nodding. Eva responded, I am but an echo of the woman you knew. I can't and won't ever try to take her place because I am not her, but a part of me is. That part is what I wanted to give you by appearing here. I must go now. I know your mother would have been proud of you. Tenten, you are exactly as she dreamed her child would be: strong, skilled, and beautiful. As Eva started to disintegrate, Tenten shed a tear and said, goodbye, as she passed away. Dustin scowled as he walked over and placed the close sign on the door. Tenten turned to face him, crying, and said, don't I know there is something going on here you can't or won't tell me, but whatever it is, at least I got to hear my mother's voice and see what she looked like, and if what you said is true about that being her memories, then I know she is proud of who I am. I can live with that. Dustin nods and continues, good, I hate to do this, but you can't tell anyone about what you saw. If people found out my connection to Eva and what she represents, then people will come for me and will use you to get to me. Eva, what Eva represents is my sins. What your mother and I created was something that we wanted to help save people. But in the end it wound up destroying hundreds of lives and a country. Someday it could even destroy the world. I wanted to redeem what your mother and I created, and I used an innocent as a sacrifice, but I believe that my sins will be forgiven someday. I hope when I meet your mother for real on the other side that I can tell her that our sins were forgiven. As he entered, Tenten wiped the tears from her face and looked at her father's whereabouts, thinking, what could you consider your sins, Dad? What have you never told me about you and Mom, and what exactly is it you have done? After leaving the weapon store, Naruto headed for his apartment, where he was shocked to find no damage had been done during his absence. Can I help you? He asked, blinking as he opened the door and noticed an Anbu sitting at his table wearing a hawk mask. As the Anbu vanished in a whirl of leaves, Hawk remarked, Anbu appreciated what you did at the exams, Uzumaki-san. We wanted to ensure that since you protected our home we could return the favor. Welcome back. Eva said to Naruto in his mind, you deserve it, as he blinked and thought, no wonder my place hadn't been destroyed. I am finally getting acknowledged. Naruto grinned as he walked around his apartment, which had been somewhat cleaned up but not particularly messy. He also noticed that he had fresh groceries in the cabinet and refrigerator, which led him to conclude that he must have made sure they had something to eat while they were here. Following a quick snack of deli sliced ham on white bread with cheese, he showered, washed his clothes, hurriedly dried them, and departed his apartment. 20 minutes later, he was entering Red's bar when Izumo showed up, grabbing his vest and dragging Naruto to a table where Kotetsu was before he could even take a close look around the establishment. When Naruto sat down on a stool and looked around, Kotetsu said, welcome to Red's. This is a shinobi-only club and you have to be a chunin to get in here as well because they don't want genin getting drunk and causing trouble. In jest, Izumo remarked, chunins do enough of it ourselves. Naruto replied, so what is it you invited me here for? I don't drink. As he poured Naruto a saucer of sake, Kotetsu remarked, yet you don't drink yet. By the end of the day you will be either under the table passed out or proving you're fit to wear that vest. Good thing you persuaded me to unseal my head, Eva, Naruto thought, blinking. As Naruto slowly reached for the saucer and poured the drink into his mouth, Izumo and Kotetsu both screamed, Kanpai. Eva remained silent. Azumo gave Naruto a pat on the back and remarked, "There you go, we wanted to do this earlier, you missed Shikamaru and Shino, already both of them proved themselves." Naruto coughed briefly as his throat burned. As Azumo poured another saucer full for the three of them, Kotetsu lifted his and said, "Kanpai." He then downed his, and both of them turned to face Naruto, who gulped and continued to drink. Naruto said, "Really, I find that hard to believe." Note: for the next few scenes, Naruto, Azumo, and Kotetsu will essentially be talking while intoxicated. After about 3 hours, it was dark outside, Kotetsu was swaying in his chair, Azumo was laughing every few seconds, and Naruto was performing a very inebriated rendition of "I'm Blue" on a karaoke stage. Kotetsu and Azumo both got up on stage to join him in singing the song when he was about halfway through. The bar's owner led them off the stage after they had finished, with people throwing peanuts, glasses, and a female chunin's shirt. He said, "You guys have reached your limit, time to go home." Once they were on the street, Naruto asked in a drunken voice, "What now?" with a bewildered expression. As he led Naruto through the town, Kotetsu remarked, "Now it is time to prove you are a man, my young friend, come." All three of them were on a roof after making a number of incorrect turns and throwing up a few times. Azumo then belched at the end and said, "Now for your final test, Naruto Uzumaki. To prove that you are both a chunin of Konoha and that you have the balls to stand up for the leaf, you must complete a mission. Are you ready?"
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.